Tennessee Bureau of Investigation took to social media today saying they're once again seeing a slew of misinformation being spread online regarding the search for missing Hawkins County 5-year-old Summer Wells.
This has been a problem for months. Ansley Daniels tracking the story. Her family, Summer's family, reported her missing nearly 5 months ago. Ansley's now live in the studio with an update on the case. Ansley.
Josh and Sarah, in that series of 6 tweets, the TBI says that they've recently seen an uptick in misinformation about the case of the missing 5-year-old. Those tweets also reveal that numerous search warrants have been executed and any potential digital evidence has already been collected, including social media accounts. Summer Wells was reported missing by her family June 15th, sparking an Amber Alert and a widespread search in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. That search lasted for several weeks. In those tweets today, the TBI reiterated they are still working daily with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the FBI in Knoxville in that search. They say that those efforts have included numerous ground searches, dozens of aerial searches, dive teams in area waters, and K9 search teams. The TBI also says they have checked all available surveillance photos and videos in the area as well, and they continue to say they will not give up until Summer is found. Now, Donald Wells and Candace Bly will be speaking about their missing daughter in front of a national audience the next 2 days when they will be on the Dr. Phil Show. You can watch that here on News Channel 11 at 4 p.m. both Thursday and Friday to hear what they had to say. Now, following the Dr. Phil Show on News Channel 11 at 5 and through the evening tomorrow, we will provide you with continuing in-depth coverage in the search for Summer Wells. You'll be able to hear from investigators, people in the Beech Creek community, and those working to keep Summer's name on people's minds.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, I know, and the Sheriff's Office are continuing to work on this, and they're still looking for this little girl. They say they've been so frustrated with the lack of information in the case. And I know, Ansley, you've been working with our team here to produce several stories over the next few days about the latest on the case. What are some of the things you're focusing on?
So we have spent a lot of time in Beech Creek as a team here at News Channel 11, especially in that height of the search. Now, we have gone back to Beech Creek the last few weeks. We have spoken with different neighbors. We have gone back to the investigators as well as Don Wells. We have spoken with all of them. So starting tomorrow, you're going to hear from Don Wells and Sheriff Lawson. But you're also going to meet a neighbor who lives across the street from the Wells family who tells us that she heard a scream the night Summer went missing. She says that she heard it a few hours before that timeline that the police gave us started, but she kind of goes through what she recalls of that night and what she has been through with investigators. Now, we also spoke with a pair of YouTube content creators who talk a little bit about how that has played a major role in this case and why they believe cases like this are so popular on that online platform and what their passion is, because it's really interesting considering that, you know, these people are creating content based on cases that we cover in the news, but these people are just more like freelancer, just regular content creators, people that aren't like us, and so just a different media platform. So we learn a little bit more about that, as well as other community members and a few other stories that we're excited to share with you that we've been working on the last couple of weeks.
We look forward to seeing those reports tomorrow, Ansley.
Ansley, thanks. Again, TBI is asking anyone with credible information on Summer Wells to contact them as the search continues. You can call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email your tips to tipstotbi@tn.gov.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. How is everybody? Can you guys hear me okay? You hear the audio?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So tonight what we're going to, hey, Kaz, thank you for becoming a new member. Thank you so much. Thank you, sweetheart. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to sort of work backwards. We're going to keep it about an hour and a half. If we need to do a part 2, we will. What we're going to do tonight is in lieu of Killer Look's last video, which not his last one, a couple back, it was filled with great information, and it was filled with a lot of things that were new and then a lot of things that were old, but still things that I think get swept underneath the rug, right? The potential evidence, do you have a comment on that, Tiffany?
No.
Good to see you.
I don't actually.
So we've heard, let me show you this really quick. This is one thing. So what is today? 1154 or 1155? 1155 days she's been gone? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
So what you understand is that this one has done 919 videos. Also remembering that upwards of 100 or more videos have been removed for whatever reason, right? So I think one of the things that
I don't have an exact number, but I know it's over 100. And I know there's people that probably do know the exact number of deleted videos from Jody, but I don't have that number. Someone else might.
Thank you, Casey.
But yeah, I know it's over 100. Like, I think it's something like 100 and some odd lives and videos Jody has taken down over the years.
And I also want to preface this, that this is, I don't want Jody to think that this is some attack, which I think we all know
Oh, God.
that's what's going to be the play, right? It's going to be, oh, Benny's attacking me, and let's do this and this and this, and call these people, and so it's not an attack. What it is again, we're working sort of Tarantino style. I wanted to bring up some of the things that are going to be brought up in Killer Looks' video that they were packaged so well, right? So the one thing that always befuddled me about the potential evidence and the search warrants, right? The potential evidence, you don't hear anyone harping on that. You never have, right? So really quick, digital evidence is information stored or transmitted in a digital format that can be used in a court of law to investigate and prove facts in a case. It can include emails, documents, images, videos, and metadata found on devices like computers, smartphones, and other electronic systems. Digital evidence is important because it can be found in many types of investigations, not just those related to e-crimes, and provides crucial data for building a legal case or a legal defense. So we hear all of the things. For instance, Jody says it's all about the dogs. The dogs are the key. She heard the scream. She's the neighbor. Why is she also not? Why is she never harped on this potential digital evidence? Right. I think in my opinion, it's because it knocks on the back door of a home she doesn't want to be bothered at. Right. Metaphorically. So moving forward, so we have the digital evidence. And that was just sort of this thing that was like kind of just almost seemed cryptic, right? Let me pull it back up real quick. This had 80,000 views. Now, quite naturally, a lot of these views are reviews, So we have 80,000 views. So it wasn't cryptically kept in a dark pocket somewhere, right? A lot of people know about the potential digital evidence. From the players who through context clues are involved with possessing this digital evidence, nobody wants to come on the internet and claim that. They want to claim the screen. They want to claim a flash, a red truck. They want to claim these other things, but they do not want to claim possession of this potential digital evidence, right? Moving forward, do you have anything to say about that?
No, but I do want to say, like, if, I think I texted you this the other day that if Jody says that the dogs are key, then that would mean Jody's key too, no? Because how would you know the dogs are key if you're not the key as well? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, and I can. Yeah, it makes absolute sense.
Okay.
Looking back through the course of it all, I remember you had when it was focused on, when that terminology or that verbiage was focused on, what you had was an influx of people that either made commentary about the Wells pack of dogs, or you had a commentary about Heckens, right? Which was Jody's bull mastiff. You had a lot of different information coming out about animals, right?
Which dog was the one that was it the Hecken that was tied up by the garage on the road she lives off now?
Yes. The one that in the Google Maps you could see chained inside the barn.
That's the one that they said got split in the head.
That was the story. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That was also allegedly, if you ask the right people. So in fact, Don had raised concern about the dog. Now, take it for what it's worth. I took that information that he had a concern about and reached out to the TBI. The TBI agent responded directly, very quickly, and said, "Hey, yeah, no, we know where the dog is at. The dog has been looked at, so on and so forth." So the dog was not a viable situation. Although you heard lots of different, even first-person accounts from Jody about the temperament of the dog.
Right.
Booster, thank you so much for your contribution, sweetheart. You know it means the world to me. Thank you so much. Miss Angel on Earth, thank you so much for your contribution. We're just trying to, and I'll be completely honest. In fact, I reached out to Killer Looks he just emailed me back. He unfortunately he can't make it this evening, but he's in love with the idea that people are reinvigorated by hearing certain streams of information, whether they be new or old. But I listened to it twice back to back, and I had this flood. Thank you guys for the contributions. I had this flood of information that came back, like things I couldn't even sit here without having listened to it first and came up with on my own. It's like, okay, I know this about this and this about this and this. And so it was a very powerful video, very powerful. Now, working back Tarantino style right here, what are we looking at here, Tiffany?
Oh, the text with Andy and Jody.
Okay, what is significant in this portion of the text to you?
Well, I cannot listen to or read the news articles about Fields Road without going back to these texts right here, because Jody's asking Andy if he called his dad about shit that they were doing over there at that property.
Right.
And I do think it's important to know at the very least.
Now, I do know, going back through the history, the Rolodex history of it all, that there was, and so you sway that way with the Fields Road stuff. I think it's a great possibility. I just also remember a period in time where there was some pill searching going on.
But that could be too. I mean,
Right.
I don't know what it is, but
the timing is a little bit weird, right? I guess
it's a bit sus, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to go all the way. There's going to be some portions of Killer's video that go way on back to CM's interview with H and all of that stuff. I don't want to go back quite that far yet, as I do believe probably Killer he just dropped a video now. So,
Oh, really?
we can get, and it says deeds. So I'm guessing it probably has something in the context.
The property. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's a lot shaking around the Fields Road property, right? So, moving forward past this, is there anything in here that we need to cover contextually with what we're talking about right this second?
No, I'll just drop the timestamp and the video link in the chat for people to look at the text if they want to see them or refresh themselves or whatever. We can move on from that. Yeah.
This has always been one of my go-tos, that and the potential digital stuff, right? Because when you look at the whole ball of wax, what you have is a neighbor who, and I think you even have Andy still running around here, and I've got some stuff I'm going to show. I was told while I was away, Andy was kind of running around saying that money I donated to him for a look on the property when I went there, which that trip didn't happen. That money wasn't for that. So I'm going to go ahead and show all the Cash App stuff. and just to show you that Andy actually isn't being honest about it at all. And for no reason would he have to be dishonest about it, other than the fact that, well, Benny's not here to defend himself. So we're going to go all the way through Andy and the Cash App stuff and things that I've said way before and the way they are now, right?
I think that's a good idea, because Andy has a lot of people speak for him too, that really he should just handle his own shit.
I mean, that's what beta guys do. So this is also one, hey, Tiny, this piece of information right here, I always go back to it, right? Why is it, Benny, why do you go back to it? I'll tell you why. This was published on the 11th of November, 2021. So you've got, we'll just call it June, July, August, September, October, November. That's 5.5 months, right? 5.5 months from June 15th, almost 6 months, where you're going to get the account of the scream. Okay. You've got potential evidence, digital evidence collected via a search warrant, right? Which a search warrant is pretty typical when there's going to be the change of hands from, John Q, landowner, to law enforcement, right? In order to cover that chain of command in the transference of evidence, you know, a lot of times, you know, even the consent isn't enough. They want to make sure legally they have all rights to walk away with this stuff, right? So you have the potential evidence, digital evidence. What needs to be noted is that it's looking like, and always has looked like, that this evidence may have come from Fields Road. So you're trying to understand what's the connection from Ben Hill with the little girl all the way over to Fields Road. Now, do you have an actual number of how many times Fields Road was searched, Tiffany?
I don't have a number.
That's more. It's more than once and more than
I
twice.
think it was several. I think it was quite a few times. I don't know how many.
Your contribution, Queen. You know it means the world to me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think Boosta too just walked in on you being back because she was like, "Oh my god," when she first came in.
Yeah, she been back here for a while. She been here for a while. So again, talking about these key details that you know the Bernards and the Brown clan sort of earmark for their own possession, right? They possess the key to the scream, and they possess this, and they possess this. So we're going back to the point here, right? 211,000 people have watched Jody Sue and her son talk about what the scream sounded like, right? What's interesting about it is they had 6 months to get the story right. Now, I'm not here to tell you that their version of the scream can't be different. It's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, though, is that I am just completely befuddled as to why Jody would even allow her son to come up and say something completely contradictory to what her ideal of the scream sounded. Now, also remembering, right, that they were inside of the yard barn, right? They were inside a yard barn, the three of them, kind of painting a picture. Jody has been very vocal about hearing the scream where, Tiffany?
Well, she says she heard the scream. She plants that scream toward, how would I explain? So
across Beach Creek Road, where the
cows are.
Yeah.
Yeah, where the cows are. And she says because there's a specific cow that used to make all this noise, and it was always loud, and it would sound like it was at her door. And that's where she places the scream. Yeah. As far, I mean, I don't want to speak for her or anything, you know, but
Jody's situation is here, right? She heard the scream over here.
Go over a little bit more. She puts it even farther out. Actually, I have that on my channel.
Out here somewhere?
Nope, to the left more. So go up a little bit, where your cursor was, like
out in here?
Down, no, by the road.
Gotcha. Over in here.
Further left.
Further left.
Yeah. Right around there.
Right around here, which is even more.
Bring your cursor back to the right.
Here.
Yeah, right around there.
Okay. So imagining when you know about all the acoustics that Jody wants you to believe about the hill, this hill is perched up, right? So the sound,
both of their houses sit on the same amount of feet.
Right. Almost exactly.
They are exact, actually.
Are they?
You pull, yeah, I actually pulled that up one time when I was trying to understand all this sound shit.
Sure, I'm with you. The interesting part is so from around this area right in here, all the way over here, this is where Jody hears the scream, right? Right here, the bottom of the Wells driveway is where her kids hear the scream, correct? Tiffany?
Her kids never said where they heard the scream. Like,
maybe not from their mouth, but
I feel like they all I do feel like there are discrepancies in who heard what because of where people were placed. And she put great emphasis, I remember, on her being in one area, her daughter could still hear it, but her and her son could not anymore. And I don't know. I don't think they all heard the same. Well, maybe they heard the same exact thing, but they were all in different
I agree.
areas. And it was always like, you can't just say like, oh, we're sitting in the living room like normal people would say. I was
Right.
sitting in my living room with my kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jody's like, well, he was over there by that wall and I was on my bed and she was by the door and she could hear it longer. I don't know. It's just
Giving
so
great account to so I guess my point being in even the location of, I remember there was a dialogue where Jody maybe didn't speak about the youngest, but the eldest.
Yeah.
He heard it. His version and location of it was, you're going to hear his description, but the location was somewhere near the bottom of the hill. So you've got here where the son heard it, the eldest, and then you got way over here where Jody heard it, right? Acoustically, there is a lot going on between here and there, or here and there, right? So moving forward to that, I always thought that was so interesting, because it's almost as if, without even hearing Ronnie Lawson's his theory about the scream, you already sort of knew that it was like, well, the scream just doesn't make sense. The sound of it, the confliction in the sound and the description of it. Now going back to this portion, that's 6 months sitting together to talk about what the scream sounded like and what the scream didn't sound like, right? So I don't know if the crazy contradictory descriptions of the scream was manufactured on purpose, or they're just like, hey, my son has a different version of what it sounds like than me, and maybe they clipped it together. No, they had completely different versions of what the scream sounded like, right? And to me, that seems very problematic in even trying to understand that there was one scream, if there was a scream, starting off, 2 different ways it was heard, 2 different locations it was heard from, and then a sheriff that says, yeah, I don't think there was a scream. So I want to run through this really quickly, and we'll just skip ahead here to the neighbors portion.
Noise at all.
Jody Sue was in her cabin. The neighbor swears that she and her 2 children heard a scream shortly before they joined the search for a now missing Summer Wells.
It's there, but you want to forget.
On the watch and hypervigilant. That's how Jody Sue Brown was the very day Summer Wells went missing.
There's no TV, no noise at all.
Jody Sue was in her cabin with her teenage kids, 19 and 14, waiting for anything.
We were kind of hyper alert because of.
That's an interesting point. They're waiting for anything. What the heck could they be waiting for? Uber Eats, DoorDash. What could they be waiting for, Tiffany? Do you have a comment on that?
No, but it's wild. I mean, I never really looked at it that way, or I don't think I noticed that, honestly.
What
the fuck?
Is she saying without saying? Like, I know what she'll morph it into, and maybe she's morphed it before, but it's like, oh, well, we just live in an area where you just have to have your head on a swivel at all times. Well, in this context, it sounds completely garbage filled, right? Like, or like
I don't think that Jody has ever had to live in a neighborhood where she had to keep her head on a swivel. I'm just saying.
Fair enough. I mean, also
Wow.
knowing a little context, like there is some reason to believe that Jody may have been involved in I call it the 32-piece indictment, where Jody was allegedly, the paperwork says she was caught on the lawn with 1 pill. They go in
1 pill, yeah, one pill.
pill. Not 100, not 1 dozen, 1 pill. And then they come in the house and they find Andy, and all his chagrin. He's got a little.
Remind me how that went. Was it Jody or Andy said that it was 1 pill? I can't remember.
It was Andy.
It was Andy.
He was very clear about the fact that it was 1 pill.
Just 1 pill.
Rattling around. They leaned.
What a liar.
The police leaned on her for 1 pill, and she lets them in the house. They find his grow op, and then that wasn't enough. And so she gets involved in leaking information about a 32-piece indictment that goes all the way to the East Coast. So, I think that there was many reasons why Jody probably lived in fear, and it's not just the monster, right? Not taking away the fact that, or discounting the fact that Andy was pretty hands-on with her, but we heard different, but in addition to that, we also heard that there was a lot of talk about her also being able to be very aggressive with him, and then her own words telling you that she beat up men for Andy that he wasn't capable of beating up, or wasn't rowdy enough to do that, right? So it's not, she likes to paint herself as the meek, weak person because of the DV and the cancer, and that very well may be to a certain extent at one point in her life.
Yeah, you can only give Jody so much grace, I think I've given her plenty. I just feel like she has been here for so long, and not much has ever drug her away from sitting in that breakfast nook. And she's dedicated. I'll say that. And there's a reason. There's got to be a reason for that, and it's not for Summer. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, even when you get down to the whole one thing that always drove me crazy was show her flyers, say her name, this, that. Like, the woman has never done that herself. No, she never will. So yeah, it's why is she camped and perched up on this thing for so long? Good question. Your guess is as good as mine. But let's get to the meat and the potatoes of it, right? She's there. She's waiting for anything. She's hyper alert. And the context is Jackie Dobbs, right? Jackie Dobbs has, now let's be clear about the Jackie Dobbs situation. Jackie Dobbs has been cleared, I think, by the GBI, the TBI, and potentially even the FBI. So the BI has been all in his life, and he's cleared up, right? But what you have to remember about Jackie Dobbs is, was it Andy? Because I think Jody had already been into it with him. The police were called. Didn't Andy tell him where he should go get a motel or a hotel at?
Oh, geez, I don't know now. My mind is burnt from so long, but I don't know if it was Andy. However, they did run him off. And I think, and Jackie Dobbs went in a completely opposite direction. Like, he did not take the advice of whoever told him what.
So what happened after he left? What did you find the Brown and Bernard clan doing?
Well, Jody said, plenty of times that they went looking for him.
They went looking for him?
Yeah.
Do you think they were bringing him cookies or lemonade? What do you think they planned? I think the two of them planned on, having to gang up and do something to Jackie Dobbs. Like, you don't go looking for someone that you've already had.
Jackie's smart. He's street smart for going the other way.
He was. But what was their plan? Right? Like, you've already had an issue and an argument about survey lines, not once, but I think twice. The police come. You're down there taking pictures of the man loading his chainsaw and his materials into the back of his little Blazer. And now you're going to go track him down later on in the night, in the dark. Like, you got to make that make sense. Right? So that's what she was hyper alert about, was the situation with Jackie Dobbs, right? Jackie Dobbs wasn't hunting anyone down or moving property lines to encroach upon them. He wasn't doing any of those things, right?
Property things that had happened the day before. So we were listening for noise. Everything was kind of quiet.
The sale brought a plethora of people to their door, confused about which piece of land was for sale, leading to a dispute of property lines.
While we were out at one point doing survey lines, and there was a flash of a car that went up Candace and Donnie's driveway. Something about it struck me wrong.
She and her family next heard a truck door slamming and dismissed it as their neighbor.
I'm going to leave that part alone, because I think that, I think I've probably been sitting here on the porch and seen a car drive by either too fast or too slow. And I was like, that doesn't seem right. So I get how she may have, I'm going to leave that alone, because I'm going to end up going off the deep end on that part. And it just, she saw a flash of a car. Now, what did she say about the description?
Don't hold back, Benny.
She said this vehicle was red, potentially missing the clear coat. She said the door.
Yeah, she saw that from the wall.
Yep. Through a little window of leaves. You know, you got to remember this is June, full foliage. So she's able to see so much description about this vehicle. She said the sound of the door was what? It was heavy.
It was heavy, like it was old, like it was
Heavy
an
like
old
it was
car.
old.
Yeah.
Yep. We also had a lot of
She said she
description.
couldn't distinguish it from if it was a truck or a car, but then she just started calling it a car. And if I'm wrong on anything and I'm messing something up, please correct me, because I have been away for a little while, but I remember this shit like the back of my eyelids, honestly.
I do too now. That was the amazing part about whatever it was in Killer's video that just was like, bam, now I've got all the details running, right? She even remembers how odd the slipping of the wheels and the stones sounded going up the driveway. You know, there was like many things, I guess, that could have alerted her to this being something that it shouldn't be, right? Moving forward.
The next sound was harder to justify. About an hour and a half before Summer is thought to go missing, Jody Sue, her son, and her daughter heard something far more suspicious. A scream.
Stop.
Now, the scream. Here we are. Before we get into what it sounded like. The scream, in my opinion, is the neighbor creating a benchmark in the timeline, right? It's about an hour and a half. Okay. Now, could she be, I've always thought, well, maybe she's throwing shade on Candace, right? Like, well, you hear a scream and then ultimately you find out the girl is not on the property. So is she trying to say Candace is a bad mom, or is she actually trying to say, you know, any other version of something other than this is the go point. This is the start. This means go. You hear a scream, and then at the end you find out the girl's missing. But you also have the Wells reporting it at 6:32, 6:33, correct? So you're going back in time an hour and a half to the scream, which I believe is some sort of defunct benchmark in the timeline. I always have, right? It's her wanting to set the thing in motion at around 4:00, right around the 4:00 hour, because she was reported missing at 6:32 and 6:33, right? By Don and then subsequently, or by Candace and then Don afterwards. So anytime in from 4 to 6:33 being the latest call, you're actually looking at a 2.5 hour window of time, right? I know we don't want to get into all that right just yet tonight, but it's a pretty big window of time. And then the benchmark go button starts at around the 4:00 hour. So now we're going to move into what her and her eldest believe the scream sounded like.
All three of us cold.
Her daughter was the first to go to the cabin door. Then all three were there listening still.
We heard just this kind of shrill, almost animalistic scream.
Shrill, almost animalistic. Shrill, almost animalistic, right?
Animalistic, but not an animal.
New.
Not an animal. All right, not an animal.
Can
Animalistic.
I just say, someone said in the chat, I just saw it real quick, I was outside. They said that Jody doesn't like the cross. Who picked that spot for Jody to do her interview? In front of the church.
Visually it met all of it connected all the dots, except for then you find out this lady
Did
actually
Jody
possesses
pick
death.
that spot in front of the church, or did WJHL? I need to know that.
Well, you know, I think that potentially it's either the church in front of the cross or on their hill with all the milk jugs. So
Oh God.
it was just a much better locale to be here at the church. So we got shrill and animalistic by the eldest, right? Very, very descriptive take on what he thought it sounded like.
It was, wrong. It wasn't a dog. It wasn't an animal.
That vigilance kicking into
So it's almost like her saying, slapping his hand saying, no. One of these. No, it wasn't shrill. It wasn't animalistic. It wasn't an animal at all, right? In fact, this is what it sounded like. Now, I always thought that when they showed this cow, it was interesting because, knowing the context, it seems as if at some point she was like, no, I thought it was a cow. So they're actually in the area where the cows are across the street, where Jody thought she heard the scream from and thought it was a cow that makes this particular noise. Here it is, right? Not that this is the exact cow, but right in that area, right?
And
Like-
WJHL picked up on that and put it there too. Like,
They did. It's right there for you to look at. If you don't know the context, if you're just from somebody from, Pierce County, Washington, and you don't know any of you're just like, oh, it's a cute little baby cow. Not understanding that they're actually filming the area where she said the scream came from and identifying the fact that she thought it was a cow, but all of that information isn't in the report, right? So here we go.
Not an animal.
Knew it was, wrong. It wasn't a dog. It wasn't an animal.
That vigilance kicking into overdrive. Jody Sue and her son went out to look for the source of the scream.
My son and I decided to go out, look and see what we could see. We went back onto the bank. Didn't see anything. Didn't hear anything.
They went on with their evening. The kids returned to being kids. Jody Sue headed down her driveway around 6 to tend to flowers.
And at this point, I start hearing Candace hollering for Summer. And then my brain immediately went, scream earlier, this.
Now, are we to think that there's never been a scream from a soul over on that hill ever? We know that
either of the hills, both of them.
they're acting as if like there's never been a scream and that this one is so profound, right? Like, if you let Jody tell it, they were exchanging SD cards about abuse pictures, and there was many screams that came from the hill way before now, right? But because there's this, the end result that the girl is not on the property anymore, she's missing. Now all of a sudden this alleged scream has so much significance, right? Moving forward.
Uh-oh.
Jody Sue was the first to hear
Where did I just see that? Mary, we're going to get to that, right? We are going to get to that.
those calls and the first to join the search for Summer.
I dropped my purse. I tried to yell up at Candace. I was like, I'm looking, and I started looking.
Jody Sue searched one side of a creek, Summer's brothers the opposite side.
Gotta mention it. Jody's side of the creek, with her own words, was filled with what? Meth trash. People with intravenous users would throw their needles in the creek on their way out of the holler. So understanding that now Jody is in the creek, if you know the context, she thought being in the creek would keep her scent down, right? But she's barefoot because she's got her PAP shoes on, and she doesn't want to walk where searchers, she doesn't want to cloud up the scent potentially, right? So
And
she's walking
Candace says that Jody was bone dry
dry.
when she saw her.
She saw her, she's bone dry. Jody's walking in the creek because she thinks it's a potential that the child could be in the water, right? But she's walking barefoot in a creek filled with meth needles, right? Moving on.
And you gave statements to the police, right?
Oh,
Tell me.
absolutely.
Jody Sue had been interviewed many times by investigators, bringing up the scream often. But the sheriff doesn't believe the scream is related to the disappearance of Summer Wells.
She's been interviewed numerous times by not only my agency, but the TBI and the FBI, and we don't find anything.
We, not him or not us, right? We, suggesting that the TBI and the FBI, along with Hawkins County agents, don't find any connection between the scream and this complaint, right? That's powerful, super powerful. He's not just outright saying that she's lying, and he takes the softer route by saying, hey, we're just going to say, we don't want to call her a liar, but what we're going to say is this scream doesn't appear to be a part of the original complaint, which is the girl's missing. That's the complaint, right? We, as official bureaus of investigation, TBI, FBI, who knows, maybe TBI and FBI they don't see a connection to the scream, and they're telling him there's no connection, or or all of them agreeing in concert, in unison, that this scream has nothing to do with it. Maybe there wasn't even a scream ever, right? Ever. Who knows?
with that complaint or information related to this case.
Jody Sue wishes she could go back to just a short time before Summer disappeared and before the scream she believes was Summer.
I wish every day that when I heard that scream, I hadn't tried to dismiss it.
So she tried to dismiss it. Meanwhile, she's hyper vigilant, right?
And
All
she
these-
says she went back out to look with her son. So why did she say that?
Good question. Can we put Killer Link's
Yeah.
a
I'll get
Killer
it.
Link's link into the discussion area? He has just really been nailing it down. Like, he's got it going on. And I'm not going to play any of his recent videos that he's done. I've already talked to him via email, and we're good to go on playing this piece. So I think that we need to get right to it. So there's Candace here. Did I not pull up? I think I just deleted the link. Okay, so let me pull up the link really quick.
Where are you going to next?
I am going to Jody Sue heard the Suburban.
Okay.
Now, there's going to be a lot of information, and don't let during this portion, let's not let our minds stray on all the things that we think we know or that Jody's told us we know. What we're focusing on is, in my opinion, what I'd like to focus on is the contradictions or the things that we know probably aren't what she's said over the past, because she's either refuted them with newer, less accurate claims or what have you, right? So I may even come back at a later date and rerun this again, because this thing is just filled with so much information. Like, it really is. It is a beautiful menagerie of clips. Like, he did an absolutely phenomenal job on this video. Not saying that all of his videos aren't good, but this video right here it's short, it's information filled, and it's their own words, right? He didn't put anything extra on it. So here we go.
Oh, look, it's Green Eyes. Anybody want to hear Green Eyes this Saturday night?
Why did your son do it, man? Why they chase your son? That's what it's always been about.
Right.
This always struck me bad. What is typically Jody's demeanor, Tiffany, in your opinion?
Oh, what's Jody's demeanor?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that's a loaded question. Well, I will say this
Thank
is
you, Andrew.
not her. This is not her norm at all.
There you go.
Yeah.
100%. I if I were asked to describe her demeanor, I would say sort of flat, monotone, and dry.
Mhm.
Not a lot of inflection, not a lot of wild expression.
Yeah.
Is sort of it's just sort of a baseline. It just stays the same, right? So what you're seeing, and I think probably all 464 of us are well aware of what Jody's normal inflections and normal reactions and expressions are, and that this, just starting right out of the box, is a much different inflection. Now, I'd also say that if she does a reaction to our expose tonight, that she'll probably use a lot of expression and a lot of inflection that you're just not used to seeing, right? It's just sort of the nature of that beast, right?
Why they chase your son? That's what it's always been about.
Right.
Your son did
Of
it.
course, love their fucking.
That's why that text from Andy said it's done. Talking about your son. Them two fairies coming for his ass.
The two. Oh, are you threatening my son to harm him?
Of course, if I wasn't threatening no boogeyman, he might just talk my ass and have to do stuff like that.
Because I'm pretty.
Look at him, yeah, with the tongue, we're off, don't we? Remember now I was calling some kids and now said you got 7 days to bring someone back or you gonna face God's instruction. When you gonna fucking just give up, tell the truth, or you go away and do it again? Son, you sick motherfucker. I told you you're a fucking checker player up against chess masters, bitch. Yeah, you in the world you don't know how to control, bitch.
Right.
Fucking murder suspect name your son. And they're putting all
Okay.
the fucking money in the murder suspect's name.
Okay.
Almost 12 months. It's probably we're looking at a murder.
Now, Green Eye's account of he's correct. Green Eyes has actually clearly watched all of this from start to end, right? There was a portion in time where she was dealing with Fizzle, Penny at True Crime Commentary, and that what Jody wanted was essentially like a royalty situation where the money that was made off of the videos Jody did, she wanted put into her kid's name, like some sort of like imaginary YouTube caveat trust or something, right?
I remember that. Yeah.
Remember? Very strange, right? So I want to clear the blur out of that, right? When you're talking about money, that's what she wanted. She wanted, I don't know what she thought these videos were going to garner in terms of, monetary gain, but she wanted, the legacy of these few videos. And I think a lot of those videos were the package of videos that came from the Facebook made the transfer over, right? All of the videos where she's talking about leach fields, deeds, or anti-erosion methods, all of these things alluding to property and it had such an effect, right, on her. We're listening to it and it doesn't really, you're like, okay, this is informative if you want to know about leach fields and drainage and, all of the things. But these videos, you have to remember this, I don't know if it was 12 or however many it was. She didn't want anyone playing them. None of the videos from Facebook could you play unless you had her authorization, right? Now, her not understanding the way that fair use works, everyone used them, right? But the initial original masters, so to speak, right? Penny had the authorization to run those.
Yeah. There were 16 videos.
Those 16 videos that came from Facebook were so important that in Jody's mind, she thought that they were going to accrue the kind of money that was going to take care of her kids forever in the event that something happened to her, right? Like, make that make sense. I don't know if she was promised something or if she just had a wild idea about what this so to her, these 16 videos meant a whole lot. In fact, she had sort of painted to us that she had painted to her kids probably that these videos, these were the ticket. Like, what was in these videos that we didn't just grab right out of the video and say, okay, well, this is the smoking gun or this is the burning bush, right? There was really, in my opinion, none of that. But she thought that there was really something in them videos. And you almost wonder, was there something in there that was so grand that we missed it, right? I don't know. But moving forward, you have any other comments about that?
No.
Thank you, Leslie. You could email me, Leslie. If somebody could put my email in the discussion area, that would be lovely.
Which email are you using, Benny?
The benlindsay94@gmail.com.
Okay.
What? Gonna be your son. What's them witnesses saying?
Now, also, it's a little bit of a spoiler, right? Understanding that she has these inflections and she's giving off this very colorful expression that we haven't gotten from her in the past very often at all. Remember this, right? Pin this right here.
What did the boys say about your son?
Oh,
CPS report.
a what? I'm sorry.
Report.
What about CPS? What was that?
Your son is the number one suspect.
What was about a CPS report?
Did you know that? No, your money can't buy that information.
What? I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, we know who the uppers are. That's Annie's mom and dad.
Christ, started
The red truck is all you got?
like that needle just jumped.
Really, man? The Supreme and the red truck is all you got.
Shit, you forgot about that car door. You forgot about living there for, I don't know how many years.
The red truck in the spring, but you sit there like you wrote the fucking script. And then
Flash, truck, scream, door, times. Yeah, okay.
every fucking thing else is all you heard was scream and saw a red truck, and that's really all you fucking know.
I didn't
But
see
now
a red
you know
truck
every
today.
fucking thing else that's true and ain't true.
What script, buddy?
Eventually you prevent yourself, and you know fucked up, and you'll give up and just disappear off the YouTube shit.
It's an awful
Where's your
lot
son at
tonight.
anyway? Your son done hauled ass probably, didn't he?
Where my son is not
I ain't
real
heard your
business.
son in the background, like he done hauled ass, didn't he?
You got to give it to Green Eyes. Like, he's paying attention, to say the least, right? Like,
Hanging out with the cornbread mafia, cornbread Fred.
Oh, dang it.
Y'all blackmailed and paid down in Kansas.
I have my whole lot.
Trigger clip happy on your fucking ass.
I don't.
I know you don't care because it's too late to care now. What's done is done, right? You're on a suicide mission. You would die, right?
Buddy,
You got no fucking choice, G.
not greenhouse.
so this portion of it is going to be whoever made this group of connections is wildly intelligent, is so wildly useful as well. Like, there's so much going on. Casey, thank you. I have all my links in my, okay. This is a really fascinating thing, right? Because the diagram shows you a wealth of information. And once you look at the diagram, when you know all of the players, it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's not something you could have created with AI. It's something someone put together that is so marvelous. But there's one thing that jumps out at you, and you'll see it.
Killer has done many link analysis in the past.
I'm guessing Killer did this link analysis.
I think he
Wild.
may have. Yeah.
I mean, it is wild the way it all fits together.
One of the most visually stimulating being in link analysis we just went over. In the link analysis we are talking about today, and I'm not.
Okay, let's read this really quick. There are two types of links in this analysis. The circles with A and B are the individuals being examined and linked to one another. The mutual connecting links, as seen in the first example, represent the connection between family, friends, church, and school. No adult can link with a child unless the parents are linked. Okay? That is sort of, that's the money phrase right there. No adult can be linked to a child unless the adult is linked to the parents, right? The one-sided link seen in the second example represents the connection between a child and an adult, right? With no other links between their parents. This is considered an anomaly in the analysis, right?
Pointing the finger
Or what's called a targeted link, okay?
at any of these people in the link analysis. But it is important to visually see the connections of groupings of the area and the connections to the connection. Like working on a puzzle, we're only educating ourselves and trying to piece together a bigger picture.
Now, let's turn this off. So at first glance, you're looking at this whole thing and you're like, yeah, it's a lot, right? Let me see if I can zoom in here. There, now we can zoom in. Now, you've got all the players, right? All the names, even some names you people probably don't even know who they are, right? So you're looking down through it all. Now, two lines, two arrows back and forth, right? They mean a mutual connection, right? Like they know of each other. Chad Arnold, he knows who Fred is, and Fred knows who Chad is, right? Makes sense. So you're looking at the whole diagram, and I'm gonna let Killer tell you. it is such a fascinating diagram. And he really did a great job putting this together. Like, we could have used this in the beginning. This is very fascinating. Pay attention, everybody.
A visual that seems to tell a story. Summer Wells vanished on June 15th, 2021.
Now, this is how I kind of validated that this thing actually works, right? Because you have Candace, Grandma Candace, the brothers, Don, and then however you want to make that work in your mind. We're going to kind of push Sherfy to the side because there's some other stuff going on with Sherfy that kind of muddies up what we're talking about tonight. So theoretically, all of these people are people that had firsthand contact with this person here on June 15th, 2021. You know it was H. You know that it was Mom. You know that it was Grandma. You know that it was her brothers, right? She was left inside with the brothers, saw them early in the morning before she left. And then Dad, Don, right? So this all makes sense. It works, right?
But all branches of groups can we create of the current people on here? What about the red Tacoma? Can we connect it to anyone in the link analysis?
Now, let me speak about the red truck real quick. And I've said it 100 times if I've said it once, right? The red truck was broadcast as someone who may have been seen in the area by a regular delivery person, and that this person was not a suspect. They just wanted to talk to him. You've got videos like Jody Sue getting $217,000. So I would say within, within a regular parameter, if this red truck actually exists and it is a real thing, whomever was driving the red truck that day knew they were being beckoned by the police, right? They knew. I always said, put a reward on finding the person with the red truck and somebody will probably come forward, right? Now, the red truck person, if there is indeed a red truck person, never came forward. If you have nothing to do with the little girl's disappearance and you're driving a red truck and you're like, oh, it's got a ladder rack, they're probably talking about me. Well, let me go talk to them and clear this thing up. No one ever came forward about the red truck, leaving you to speculate if the red truck was ever even a thing, or if the person in the red truck had a nefarious reason for being there and now is running from the situation the other way, not coming
It was
back.
a very descriptive truck too. Like they said that it had ladder racks in the back and paint buckets. And I mean, it was only over the course of 2 days. They said June 14th and 15th, and no one ever came forward.
There you go. No one ever came forward. Now, also, if you remember, I don't know if you can validate it or not, but Don said on a live stream with me that months after she went missing, people he would run into in Kingsport or, the general vicinity in Hawkins County told them they had been visited by TBI and that their phone had been pinged as being in the area on the day of the 15th at some period in time. So, within reason, if that is a fact, and I've done a live stream or two about what technology would even be available to do that, right? It's a piece of technology called a Stingray. It is a cell tower emulator. It has many different options and uses. But I think that the main option I've spoken on is cell phone emulator. So they can bring it in, and it will act as a cell phone. All calls will go to this device, and then the device shoots them over to the actual cell tower so that there's a connection made. But all the phone information is now available because it's pinged into the machine. So it's something like a Stingray, which is now archaic technology in relation to what is available now, right? There's so much different technology available. The Stingray was sort of time appropriate and probably price appropriate for this area of the world. So moving forward past the red truck, these are the
Can I
groupies.
just say real quick?
Sure.
Valamy said, and JSB's mom has a truck. Yes, it's like literally parked over there. Well, was a couple years ago. Anyhow, I pulled it up on Google Earth, and then Jody's mom had a heart attack, and Jody accused me of trying to kill her mom.
If you
So
remember
there
when,
you go.
yeah, if you remember when her brother passed, she blamed the internet for not being able to,
Right.
be there for her brother in his last moments. It's
Because she couldn't pick herself up off the breakfast nook to go.
right. There you
Right.
go.
Just like she couldn't go to her oncology appointment when Fields Road was being searched.
So important. Bingo, right? A lot of people may, and I'm certain that's one of the videos that's been removed. She did one of her marathon streams in which that morning we've been force fed how important all of this cancer treatment is to her, especially in the very early stages of all this, right? So she's doing an all-night stream. Behavior is just wild, right? She's on the floor in the trailer, and she finds out that there's a search going to happen, and she misses one of her life-saving oncology appointments. Make that make sense, right? I don't know, like, your guess
You
is
can't.
you can't make it make sense.
It was more crippling. Whatever was happening in her life was more crippling than her cancer, and that's a very serious thing right there. Yeah.
Sharon, Robin, she did have a red truck. It was her dad's. He passed, and it was passed down to her. The truck had been looked at by the authorities, and then it was a much older truck than the window. Well, I think the Summer Wells red truck is late 90s, early 2000s. I think it was. Her red truck was much older than that, and it was then sold and cleared out of the queue, so to speak. Casey K, thank you so much for your contribution, lovely. You know, it means the world to me. She said, if you go into Ben Hill, you would most likely know someone, correct? But no one knows the truck. Yeah, you get that all the time, right? You get that all the time. However, what you don't get is Jody, who has her head on a swivel. She knows nothing about a red truck. She can't even say, well, it might be this person, might be this person. Anytime a red truck comes up, bam, she gets on the defensive, right? Yeah, great point, Casey.
And then she'll throw you off with the guy that was driving around Beach Creek in a red truck, just like the one mentioned, and had tats, and she seen his face and was real close to his. So she'll say, well, that's not the truck. So is it the red truck or the red truck? Like, she'll throw you off and all these, just like she does with the blue van and the blue car and the blue truck and all the other things too. All the blue, red. She likes to spin a web, and it's just interference of the highest order.
Absolutely. Great way to put it, for sure. Then you have, the black Escalade, and you've got, just all of these different vehicles in and out. And I think that Casey raises a great point. Like, I just don't think, even Dr. Phil said it, right? You're going to get to the end of this thing, and it's going to be somebody they know. If it's, I think that I feel like you can safely say at this point, and I've always said it, each day away from D-Day, which is June 15th, every day moving forward in the timeline is better legally for the Wells, criminally better. Every day moving away from the 15th successfully for the Wells is actually more detrimental for Summer and her whereabouts, right? So I think that at this point, this far ahead in the whole ordeal, that it starts to lean more towards the phenomenon of stranger danger, right? Like, I feel like Don and Candace are not, look back through their criminal history. They are not sophisticated criminals. They just are not. They do something and they get caught and then they pay the piper, right? They're not sophisticated in any way when it comes to being criminally minded. They just,
I
they
don't
can't
believe
pull
that
it.
they could pull all of this off, and I
They are-
really don't.
100% agree with that. There are too many moving pieces. There's phones, there's Starlink, there's all these different things. There's coworkers, there's people at the pharmacy, there's, I mean, you know, all these different people, all these different devices, and you can't pin them down. There's nothing that's pinned them down to say Don and Candace are responsible. There just isn't. You know, look, despite what you want to think, they're still free. They're still out here, right? All the way still out here.
Thunder
So-
Eyes, you gotta leave Benny's beard alone. I love Benny's beard.
You can sit out for 24 hours too.
24 hours.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You can watch
You
you
gotta
can watch
unlock the
from
beard.
sideline.
Oh, so
Cameron?
somebody had said also up here higher, it said that Don had said that the red truck was there that morning Summer went missing. That was a different situation entirely altogether from what I understand. And someone was down there, that there was a lady in the truck
They
sleeping.
got stuck.
Yeah, it got stuck. He helped them. So that's not the same situation.
No. Yeah, completely different situation. I think it was in the days leading up to it because Don, you know, he said, I asked the cop if I could take pictures, and the cop said,
Yeah.
right? Remember?
And Don actually did give the pictures out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he put them
I
out.
have those. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Clock in.
So you have the connection here of Don to Fred, Marlena to Candace, Dudley to Don, right? So these are characters, you know how they play in or don't play in. I'm not going to focus on that a whole lot because there's something more important. If you haven't seen this diagram, there should definitely be something that, if you know how to read it, that's jumping out at you.
Please let me know your thoughts. Let me know your findings. Maybe data process.
Okay. The one anomaly that is highlighted has remained the same the entire case. This analysis is constantly changing, but the one thing that remains the same is this one anomaly. In H's case, he qualified as a mutual connection with Summer because his mom mutually connected with Summer's mom and was family friends. We were able to debunk Jose having a targeted connection with Summer as he was family friends with Summer's mom. The analysis reads that Boog, had a targeted relationship with Summer. There is absolutely no reason why a grown man should befriend a young child, and I consider this an inappropriate relationship, right? They didn't know each other like that. There's been no talk or history that we know of where Joe, like the Wells, they knew Andy. The Wells, they knew Jody. Jody even said that she had the Wells had seen her youngest at some point when she was very young, but there was no long-standing history or talk of Boog being around with his parents having the connection to Summer Wells or the boys, right? There just wasn't.
In the comments below, let's work together and provide this link analysis is very important. Let's discover together
Hey, D.
what it is the link analysis is
Hey,
trying
Mr.
to tell us.
Spear.
Let's be revived. What do you see?
Here's the anomaly. Let me zoom it in here. You have Boog, the single line with the arrow here. So it's not a mutual connection. This was Boog having something to do with the hill as it in regards to Summer, right? You've heard stories about the swimming pool. I don't know if that's ever been validated, but you've heard about different situations where Boog may or may not have been on the hill, right? Now, to add in a spice, if anyone remembers when I was there, Molly Golightly was, despite all of the acoustics, was able to park right in this area somewhere and walk up the back of this hill and video us working on the house. Right?
I think they parked right on the side of Beach Creek, next to the shed,
Barn?
like
Yeah.
across from, yeah.
So somewhere in this span here, which understanding that at that time it was December, there was no foliage. So if we would have known that we needed to look down there, we would have seen Molly Golightly coming up the hill. You just didn't. There was wind, there was different, there's a lot going on, but we were in and out of the house and never, and she came to the plateau at the top of the hill. And I think she even got me on the camera. And so it was like, while doing all of that, what she proved is that someone can sneak up the hill. You don't know they're there, even when there's no foliage. So the stranger danger thing becomes a little bit more, it becomes more of a reality, right? Because even with no foliage, someone could sneak up and have eyes on you and you don't even know it. And she was making all kinds of noise coming and going. So that was always a very interesting piece that I thought. Maybe some people didn't even know that, but it was, very interesting. Is Killer in here? Yeah, no, he crushed it on this one. He really did. He killed it. There just isn't, there's no two ways around it. Like, he killed it. Where'd the video go? Oh, here it goes. So back to it. We have what appears to be the anomaly of a targeted situation between the eldest and Summer. Do you have a comment on that, Tiffany?
Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
Oh, this is the anomaly, the one anomaly in the whole diagram, which is a targeted relationship or targeted connection between Boog and Summer.
It's a straight line.
It's just a straight line. There's no line going back to him from Summer at all. So it's not like they were over there playing as, kids could do, or Jody's youngest didn't go over on the hill and play. There was, some commentary Jody said at some point about how the boys had came over either once or some unknown number of times and asked for food, but that's not validated, right? So
where is Jody's daughter on this graph here? I don't see her.
That's a good question. She would definitely be over here.
Well, I'd put her right next to Boog, right?
Yeah, she would be right here. Yeah.
I'd be curious to see what that one would say too.
And maybe Killer with that information would be willing to.
And even Jody's brother isn't on here.
Her brother Kenneth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would be nice to know where Jody's youngest fit into the diagram as well. I have a feeling that it would be, not
and Andy's parents
towards the bottom. Do you see her, Miss Persevere? I don't see her.
I don't see her.
No, I don't see her. All right. Well, maybe Killer would like to update that in
yeah, I'm not trying to say either. I'm just like thinking. No. I'm thinking out loud.
Yeah. And you know what? Thank you, Jax. He may have factored it in and it just wasn't a factor, and knowing, what he would have to go through if he put her on there from the neighbor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just easier to leave her out.
Well, no, I think that this is Well, this is important either way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. I mean, it's very thorough. It's got Bly's and, Chris
Yeah.
Marcos, Wild Bill. It's very thorough.
The killer. They want to kill the look. And kill the looks County. And we all done together and go to Rebel School. One time.
Okay. Here we got Rhonda. That's a fact, Rhonda. That's a fact.
Too stupid to realize.
Okay. Now, moving forward, a lot of people may know, a lot of people may not know. Some of the day one folks will remember that when I came onto the scene, I had covered the Orson West situation from Cal City, California. Then shortly after that, unfortunately, the Cash Gernon situation was a thing. The Cash Gernon tragedy happened less than a mile from my parents' old house. So I was, kind of right there. And then there was, after that sort of tailed off, the situation with Summer happened, and it was a good month and a half, maybe 2 months before I even came over. But a lot of people will understand that even in the case of Cash Gernon with Darian and with Jacqueline and Trezell West from the Cal City situation, I liked to promote the cleanliness of the jury pool, which is a lot of the reason why there was actually a gag order put in the Summer Wells situation. The gag order is to preserve the integrity of the jury pool. Now, Jody has no concept of jury pool cleanliness, pollution, contamination. So she starts in with this verbiage here, and I know immediately where she cherry picked it from. She cherry picked it from, me coming over saying those same things, like, hey, this is small town Tennessee, small county Tennessee. Even if let's say the offender, whomever they are, they're captured or brought to justice, it's going to be very hard to get a clean trial in Hawkins County. Also understanding when they do a change of venue, they don't like going much further than 60 miles. Like that's sort of, somewhere within 60 miles, they might change to a change of venue, a different county, right? But being the way far east Tennessee is, even within that change of venue radius, still going to be extremely hard to get a clean jury. It just is what it is, right? You remember that, Rhonda. So thank you. Jury pool cleanliness is a real issue, especially even with the added weight and pollution that the internet does, right? It used to be there was a much lower threshold for becoming a juror. They'd say, hey, how much of this have you been exposed to in the media via television or publication? The threshold was very low. If you'd seen too much, bam, you're rejected. Nowadays, they'll say, have you been subjected? Questioning is different. Have you been subjected to materials pertaining to this case online? Because, who reads the newspaper anymore? Who watches the TV hardly? So it's like, have you been exposed to it? Yes or no? Yes, you've been exposed. Can you relay an unbiased judgment if we were to pick you? That's now the threshold. They just say, can you render an unbiased opinion? And if you can, then yay, you're over here in this basket of potentials. If not, then you're over here in this basket of rejected. So the threshold is much different now. But that's not as important as what she's getting ready to say. No one's manipulated her to do this. This isn't AI. And after this portion of the expose is concluded, I want to get your take on it, Tiffany. I want to get what you think of this, because were you in contact with her during this time she made this comment, you think?
Yeah, I kept open dialogue with Jody for a long time. There were times where we didn't speak, but always kind of circled back around. She would end up on my panel or whatever, and I did always open that for her because I felt that it was important to do that for Summer. And I don't know if I was talking to her at this exact time. It's hard to tell, but why? What were you wondering?
Well, I just was curious, I guess you don't know right offhand if you were or you weren't. I was just wondering if there was any sort of, if you were, what the what the real life dialogue might have been. Like if you were to have discussed this with her privately, like, what is this all about, Jody? Right? Like what she's getting ready to say here. Because it is just, again,
Play it and then I'll maybe play
Okay.
it and I'll see if what comes back to me.
Very much is helping this group try to contaminate, discredit, and contaminate jury pools and shit like that. Again, my eldest.
Excuse me? Let's hear that again.
Too stupid to realize what they're doing. It's just helping this group try to contaminate, discredit, and contaminate jury pools and shit like that against my eldest. Right? If needed.
if needed.
I don't think I was speaking to her at this. Yeah, if needed.
Need a speeding ticket or like what would he need? I don't even know if you can take a speeding ticket to a jury, but what would he need a jury for?
It is a good question. Dietz does bring up a good point there, and that can't be ignored, right? But
No,
the
it's
thing
not.
is I could listen to this over and over, and Jody has said the same thing so many times in so many different ways, usually wearing the same thing, so I can't really tell. What the fuck? It's so hard because it's like listening to a broken record, so it's hard to tell if I was talking to her at this exact time, but I don't think I actually was. And it became a problem more and more with her coming to me about people attacking her kids. And I feel like when all of that shit happened where CPS was called on her and they said all of that stuff, like she was holding her daughter hostage, I feel like that clouded a lot too, because you kind of had to feel bad for that going on. You know what I mean? Like in all ways. So see, this got very convoluted, but she started with this far earlier than that. And at the end of the day, she is here to protect something or somebody.
She has an interest in it.
Yes.
Right.
And I will say without a problem right here, right now, that there is no coincidence in my mind of when her son left for military duty or whatever he was doing, which that bothers me because she really did ship him off. And you know what she said? This is what she said. And I called it out then, and I'll say it again. She said he was safer in the service than he was there. And I was like, what did she just say? Because I mean, I don't know. As a mom, I can't imagine saying that my kid would be safer overseas, right? Or fighting wars that,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And she very specifically said that her son was safer
Fighting a war.
enlisting and whatever he was doing, then he would be there. And she could spin that in whatever way, but it was very much important to her, and she got him right the hell out of there.
Yeah, he enlisted
Yeah.
in either the National Guard or whatever.
Somewhere. I don't know where, but
Has anyone, I know you probably heard me say it before. Have you ever heard me say, okay, a little bit of my hypocrite is poking out?
Sure.
I used to say that, just kind of relaying the level of my self-awareness. Right? Like, okay, I'm getting ready to say something, but it's a little bit hypocritical, but hopefully it makes a point while I'm doing it. She cannot see how hypocritical even this situation is with the severe lack of self-awareness. What she's doing actually also is contaminating the jury pool by talking about, listen to it.
Contaminate jury pools and shit like that against my eldest.
Knowing that she's at this time being viewed by many more people than she is now, but also being clipped and these things being distributed and disseminated all over all the different platforms of social media, she also, she's making him look guilty right now. Let's just keep
I'd
it
say
real.
so. Yep.
She's making him look guilty, contaminating the jury pool herself. Let's just be real about it. I mean, and she does not have, well, at this point in time with this particular situation, she did not have the wherewithal or the self-awareness to see what she was even doing, where anything anyone was saying up to this point was like, this is like a smoking gun, right? She's saying, if need be. Well, if there is a need to be, doesn't it also stand to reason that, well, maybe she has a primal knowledge of that? I mean, she has a knowledge of whether it's needed or not. And I mean, when you dig into it, it's a ludicrous statement, because it's as if she knows he would need one at some point, but she's pissed, pardon my French, she's upset that it could be potentially being contaminated, right? If your son has done nothing, there's no reason to worry about, them dumping Exxon oil all through the jury pool. It means nothing to you if you don't think at some point there's a need for a jury. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense, Benny.
It's almost as if she's telling on him right now, but cryptically doing it in the way that Jody Sue is famous for. Right?
It would have been better had she said nothing at all. A smart person would just say nothing, right?
100%. 100%. This right here is very telling. And I'm glad that it hasn't been lost in the sauce. Like, this needs to be right up there with it, and I think that you got a clear sense of the level of attention given to the situation with her and her eldest, even down to Green Eyes, right? He's saying, I don't hear him in the background no more. You've shipped him off. And
she did ship him off too.
And in all actuality, he was 100% correct. He was gone. He was out of pocket.
She probably did him a favor, but like in the long run, I just don't understand that as a mom. I don't
either. Like, that is, that is definitely saying it without saying it, but just coming right out and saying it, like, it is what it is. Moving forward.
Great. If needed. Dive at Monster and Stall Pump are too fucking ignorant to realize that.
So now it's Monster and Stall Pump's problem, or they're responsible for the contamination of the jury pool in the event that, make that make sense. Now it's almost like Monster has something to do with getting the son caught, right? She's using the F word in the context.
I have a problem too with, like, this is someone who was asking her significant other to get roadkill for her and bring it home. Why was she collecting roadkill, and why was she letting things deteriorate? She can say it was for Etsy. We've never seen a Jody Sue Brown Etsy shop. We've never seen jewelry sold by Jody Sue. Like, why did you need roadkill?
What we do actually know is that with those boxes, she was watching the rate of
the death box.
Yeah, she was watching the rate of decomp. That's what we know. She would, periodically.
Like, if your neighbor was measuring like levels of decomposition in their backyard, would you want to probably tell someone?
I would think that that's a very morbid hobby to have, right?
That really, I will say that was like a turning point, I feel.
All things are possible, but I like the way you're thinking, right?
When I found that out, I was so bothered. And it still boggles my mind, like my wheels will spin about things sometimes, and I just cannot make logical sense of so many things that Jody really has.
Yes.
These are true things. These are true, actual, factual things that have happened throughout the years that are,
Absolutely.
they're almost overlooked because it's Jody too. And that's crazy.
I was speaking with somebody a few days ago, and it was like, when you're clipped to the extent that, you've been clipped, I've been clipped, or Jody's been clipped, or whomever, the sheer volume of clips pushes so much things. So it pushes the relevant things way down,
I know.
way down. Like
I know it.
it's like adding sand to an hourglass. Like the first sand you add is at the bottom, and each grain pushes it further and further down. So all of the things, it's like she continues to try to be the subject of creating media that could be clipped, which isn't happening at all the volume that it was before. But it's continuing to push, I think, a portion of the digital footprint, and the methodology of it is to continue to push down things that were relevant before, right? You just keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And then, in her mind, it's buried, right? It's gone, but it's still there. It just is very, very, is strange, and also when you understand that over the years she's been on the internet, she understands a great deal more of the way the algorithms work and this and that. Like, she gets it. Like, I've seen her vertical stream before, and she vertical streams for what reason? To make her stuff more available to just any random person that is going to come in there and talk about the way her voice sounds, or is she drunk, or is she that? Like, vertical streaming opens you up to the algorithm where people can just go to live. They can hit the live and then just go search all the weirdos going live. When we are like this, we are subscriber based algorithm, right? The only way it gets out of the algorithm is if somebody shares the live stream, and then a weirdo is subscribed to that like, it doesn't invite in weirdos, right? The vertical streaming she did for quite a while invited that in automatically. So it was to be seen, to be broadcasted to a different constituency, if you will. But it's all weird. Bridget, I would agree. It is definitely some sort of, at least the psychological ideal that there's a controlling of something. It's definitely something.
Oh my God. Yeah. She's been controlling the narrative, trying to control any narrative she can for so long.
Locked and Loaded says, my dad did taxidermy and never watched Decomp. That's freaky shiz. I have a friend that does taxidermy, and let me tell you what, she is in no way interested in any realm of decomposition whatsoever. Like, it's an art, it's a business, and that's not what you do, right? In taxidermy, you're using the skin and you get rid of everything else, right? You're putting it on a foam entity, or it's a foam. You skin a raccoon and then you put it around a foam fake raccoon body, right? You're just stretching the skin around.
Jody needs to get herself some Netflix so she can watch her man Ed Gein. That's her favorite serial killer. Did you know that?
I do. Do you remember what her favorite true crime case is?
No.
The West Memphis 3.
Is that?
Oh yeah.
Really?
She knows everything. Oh yeah, she is well versed in the West Memphis 3. And I think that it's also interesting that the main suspect, or the one that got all the internet glorification, was Damien Echols, right? What's her son's name? Right? Like, that was.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that. Well, I won't repeat that because I think it was a rumor, but yes, I do remember that. Actually, what you're saying, yes.
Yeah. So yeah. Moving forward.
Oh, nope. Didn't hear it wrong, did we? Jody Sue, I would like to know why
Beverly,
you
I agree.
think that Andy and Becca are here to help taint the jury pool for Damien, also known as Boog, also known as my eldest. Pick a name for him. But why do you think, one, that he would even need a jury pool, and two, that his father is here to work with other creators to help taint said jury pool? There are so many things that I want to say about this, but I will bite my tongue. I doubt I'll get an answer, but I'm very, very curious as to why you think Damien would even need a jury pool. Has he done something surrounding Summerwell's case that would warrant needing a jury? Is this just another example of Jody Sue trying to bait people, or was it a Freudian slip? Gosh, I don't know if I can tell my.
What do you think? Do you think was it a Freudian slip, or was it just she started into a line of commentary that she just didn't have a full grasp on, and I feel like it got away from her? I don't think that she actually said what she meant right there. I think she meant what she said, but she didn't say what she meant to say.
No, I almost feel like she meant to say it, but she just wasn't on her toes, right? Like, and I don't even think she noticed in the moment either.
No, I think that the self-awareness had left the chat, and she just right. Like it went out one of the windows. But yeah, she really didn't understand what was going on.
Ziggy, sometimes too, they'll spell the names wrong on court documents. I see it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Theory, actually. I feel like he was involved in something shady, and he was working for somebody above him, and and also I think him and Dawn were involved.
Let me ask real quick, and then we'll continue on. Ziggy, do you feel like this theory from whenever you had it before? I know things are ever changing and developing, even at this late stage. Do you feel like this is still is this still your take on it? Like, this theory, because I know you've seen it, do you feel like this is still your take and theory on it?
And working for somebody above them in some kind of ring. I think that Andy got his son involved in the bullshit. And
thank you.
That
okay,
something went wrong that it involves with it, in my opinion. Now people are gonna throw a fit. I don't care though. Involves, I believe, their child. Somehow, like either Andy got him involved, had him drive somewhere, got him involved in some way, or something happened.
And see, they got a son named Andy. I've seen him actually in swimming pool and stuff over there at Dawn Camp.
There. So that would go back to what Killer has coined the anomaly in the connecting connections. Like, what reason would he have to be over in a pool at the Wells house, right? Like, what is it, right? But this goes back to that anomaly, which is what that anomaly has been termed a targeted connection.
And this is with Summer at one time, like it before she went missing. The swimming pool that used to be there that wasn't there when she supposedly was missing, but he was there like a couple weeks before. He was in the swimming pool with her then, just him and her in the summer.
And that isn't just a swimming pool. Like, back in the day, they had the hard ones. This one has little poles on it. You got to connect all those and put it together. So it's not like it's just like one you could throw in the yard, fill it up, and it sits there. You can take it down. It has no attachments or any. You know what I'm talking about? Am I making sense? Okay. Yep. So this isn't just a swimming pool that is missing, like a kiddie pool, like your standard kiddie pool. This one had poles that all had to attach in this circle, and hold the pool up. Yep. So I would say there's many pieces to this thing that I have to agree, it's just gone from the hill.
Yeah.
Nowhere did we ever see this pool again. I don't think I have. That's scary to me because it makes my mind go somewhere else, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
Because then, Then all this shit happens. It becomes big on YouTube and everything. Jody Sue, is pissed because she, this is all alleged. She's pissed off at Andy for getting their son involved in the BS. But at the same time, she has to protect her son. You know what I mean? She doesn't want her son to get in any trouble. So she's in this, and that's also why their relationship.
Ziggy hits the nail on the head right here, because when I heard her, I was like, I definitely wasn't there when she was talking about this, but that would probably be a very good reason to leave somebody or part ways over protecting your child, being pissed that somebody threw your kid under the bus, whatever,
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know the inner workings of all of their relationship and the dynamics and whatnot. But where Ziggy's mind went with this was actually pretty brilliant, I think.
I would agree.
Because if you think of there's not many reasons that I can think of that would cause such a strange, and if you notice too, like, you still do see where Andy will protect Jody and Jody fiercely protects Andy sometimes, and it's always over stuff to do with the kids, like or drugs, or
they'll do this weird internet protection thing, but then he'll beat on his wife, he'll beat on Jody in front of the kids, right? Wouldn't protect them in a real world sense, but boy, when it comes to doing this protection thing on the internet, there's still things that they connect about, and it's like, to me, it's just wild.
And
right?
Andy Bernard he's not a dumb person. He's very smart, much like Jody's very smart as well. I've always said, like, they have pretty high intellect, I would say, for the things that they were doing around there.
Yeah.
I personally feel, that's just my opinion, I feel probably a little too much. So you got to watch people like that.
I would agree 100%.
Relationship got ruined because Jody Sue was mad that he got freaking their son wrapped up in the BS. That's just my theory, because my theory has to be, they all have to be it has to be something.
Yeah, so not a fighter. I agree with that dynamic of, when I compartmentalize all the possibilities, when you think of that possibility, it's like, in order to protect the eldest, she also would have to protect Andy, right? Those two things go without saying. And then, when you compartmentalize a different possibility, it's separate, but there is definitely some reason why there is still there's still a sense of needing to protect, even though you've got all these vicious terms, stall pump and monster and, XYZ. But then I think we've seen before where Andy has came over into her discussion chat and she absolutely loses it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Beverly, that's a good point too. I mean, although in certain situations where there's an accident and there could be a felony neglect, there could be, a child abuse charge of some respect that comes out of it. So there definitely is some play there, right? So when you know the play, or you think the context of the play between JSB and Andy, and then enter in the kids, which it's a lot, but there's definitely something that people are trying to protect and shield something from someone. So
all four of those people, Dawn, Candace, Andy, and Jody Sue, would all have would all be involved.
So what was your gut feeling when you read that?
Now, I agree with everything I agree with this compartmentalized, going over this possibility up until you look at the polygraph situation, right? The polygraph, we all know, is an investigative tool. It's not a prosecutorial tool. Detectives use them as reasons to rule someone out and move forward. It charges the direction of their investigation. If someone is ruled out, a lot of times the results of a polygraph ruling someone out, the DA and the prosecutor decide to not pursue charges. So, and it has a long arm of reach in these situations. Also understanding that Jodi has not taken a polygraph. She's either not a good candidate or whatever the situation is. She's not been polygraphed.
What would make you not a good candidate to take a polygraph test?
Certain medical conditions and substance abuse.
What about not ever being asked?
I think
Like
that
by the TBI, or why have the TBI neglected to polygraph Jodi Sue and Andy?
How do we know they haven't tried?
I have no
It's
idea.
your constitutional right to turn one down. In fact, you could be strapped to the machine half the questions in and say, I'm done with this.
I just think if that were so, we would see more movement is all, right? Like, I kind of like just,
I think that they also run down the parameter of of how the information is disseminated, and that is
I think Jodi says that she'll only do a polygraph if it's the TBI. I think that's her answer when Cher asked if Jodi would do a polygraph.
I think that one angle on that is that it could be a very easy task for Jodi to say she would only take one there, knowing that they're not going to offer her one, right? I'll take a polygraph by the aliens, knowing that they're never going to offer you one, right? There's a reason why you've been excluded. Now, could we be looking at let's just be real. Could we be looking at a glorified onlooker? Like, is she trying to make herself a part of the history of a true crime event that has gained national traction, even international traction with the onslaught of social media platforms? Absolutely. Like, she thinks 100 years from now, when they're still, if they haven't figured out what happens to Summer 100 years from now, when some YouTuber does a cold case analysis on this, she feels like you got to bring her name up. It's some sort of weird legacy to it all, right? Could that be a possibility? Sure could be. She could organically have nothing to do with this. She just may have created details, the flash of the car, the scream, the this, the that, in order to just be tied to this thing forever, because she has some sort of obsessive compulsive desire for true crime, right? Like, sort of like the people that go in and
But then it makes me
crimes
question,
they haven't done, right?
why was she there before anyone, like talking to Don on the phone with Candace when she was coming down the driveway? Like, I have questions as to why she was inserting herself from the very first seconds of anything, like before anyone was called. And that's the thing, like, Jodi was Johnny on the spot.
I know that Don had told me before, this wasn't the first time Summer, this situation, if it were a wandering off, right? Like Pruitt thinks she wandered off, right? Okay. So let's go with that for a minute, right? Don was very candid that this wasn't the first time she had wandered away. Or let me reword it. Summer had wandered away from the Hill before. And in fact, she had an affinity for some animals that were down the road. She had wandered away at least once and was found down there, looking at animals or petting animals or whatever the case was, right? I'm not going to go deep into that, but allegedly she had wandered away before. So you also got to imagine the Hill has a lot of vantage points where the kids could be here, or there, and not be in direct eyesight of Candace. So I believe it would have to be a pretty regular thing that instead of Candace going to all the places she knows that they might be that you can't see, it's just easier to stick your head out the door and holler for them, right? And my point in saying that is that Jody Sue, if she's listening, hey, D-Boss, if she's listening like she says she is on the 15th and the days leading up, that she has heard Candace scream for them kids since they were able to walk outside, right? It's just something about this situation that's different, right? She's never alluded to the fact that she has ever joined in searching for Summer any other time she wasn't immediately able to be found on the hill, or the boys for that matter, right? One of the things that you have been so information filled about that I didn't know about was, tell me about what you know when Jody ran into the boys on the corner of the property by the road.
Pertaining to what?
Her commentary about
How they were.
what they were supposed to be doing, how they were. Yeah.
Well, I don't know why, but like it stands out to me also before I even get into that she always said that the first cops that were there had their eyes on the boys. Like they were watching the boys. It's so strange things that she has said. It makes, and like, yeah, I could totally see Jody being like someone that wants to be in the spotlight, but there is just she has a lot going on for someone who just wants to be in the spotlight. Like, that's a lot. This is a lot. You're talking like every aspect of that day. She knows nothing but knows everything.
Right. Make that make sense.
There's just no way.
When she found them by the guardrail up there on the corner of Ben Hill and Beach Creek, she said when she came up on them, they were
all sitting like with their heads down or something.
And that they weren't searching was her commentary. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that must have struck her emotion in a way that she felt the need to even disclose that, right? Whether that's true or not, I remember her saying they were messing around, they weren't searching.
I feel like so this could be completely wrong, but it's just my instinct as a person from listening to how she spoke about that. I feel like she was inserting herself as like the neighbor that the boys could tell a secret to or something, right?
I gather that, yeah.
And she said they weren't acting like they normally would. They had their heads down, and that Josie was the one to look up and say, I forget what she said. He said, but yeah, she made it like they would have gotten
the spokesman for the boys.
Say that again.
She commented and said that Josie was the spokesman for the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And and also that they had last seen Summer at her swing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but no, I feel like that part, I don't know if that was real or concocted in her mind about, that they weren't searching, or the vibe she gave off was almost as if she wanted to make it sound like they could trust her.
Right.
To talk to her, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's done.
My gut feeling was that either they had something to do with it, her and Andy,
okay,
or it was all of them together, like every single one of them in a family.
I feel like they were doing work for something higher up, and there is reasons to be scared. I feel like, this whole gag order thing. They can't. So I think if you listen, how they're saying something, how law enforcement has said this is bigger than they can say, that there's a gag order. It makes me feel like they're going to bust everybody all at once. So, Andy, if you are involved, I think that's why he's around. I really, really think that Andy's scared.
Yeah, you in the world, you don't know how to control bitches.
Right.
Okay. Murder suspect named your son.
Okay.
Money in the murder suspect.
Now, when I said pin it earlier, unpin this and understand that she has also said that Stall Pump and Monster are contaminating the jury pool, which the boiled down idea of that is that he would be a suspect, right? Now, I'm not saying he's ever been labeled as an official suspect. That's not what I'm saying. That's what she said. I never said it at all. She said it. She's the one that said it's contaminated, basically saying in the event that Boog would need a jury, in her opinion, he's not going to get a clean one. What she's also saying is if he needs a jury, it means he's a suspect and he's been charged. So you got to make all those things make sense. She's saying many things while I think she kind of thinks that she's saying nothing, but she's saying many things all at the same time. Do you have a comment about that?
No, because I got distracted by something in the chat.
Yeah, let's keep it all the way. Let's keep it all the way. Player in the chat.
Yeah, just respect Benny because he doesn't want any money.
I don't want no BS, and you know, it's the reason why some people in blue they know what it is. So we're not going to go
try to all exist for.
Yeah, no, we're not here for personal vendettas and things. So let's keep that to a minimum.
Next name.
Okay.
Almost 12 months. It's probably you're looking at a murder.
What?
It's gonna be your son.
What?
Your son anyway. Your son that hard ass.
Okay, now going back to the unpinned situation, if he needs a jury, what does that mean? That means he's been charged for doing something, right? I mean, let's keep it real. If he indeed needs a jury at some point, he's being charged for something that's criminal. Whatever that could be is still uncertain, but she's saying it, right? So for her here to act as if, well, my son's not a suspect. It's crazy for Green Eyes to say that Boog is a suspect. Meanwhile, she's also said either prior to this or subsequent to this that, well, I'm pissed at Stall Pump and Monster for contaminating the jury pool because he may need a jury one day because he's actually done something, right? All of those things are a thing. You have a comment on that?
Yeah, it's a lot for someone
thank you,
who,
Crystal.
I mean, this is someone who has dedicated their whole entire existence to being here and only focusing on people and what they say on the internet for a very long time. Like, I don't think there's been anything that's really pulled Jody away. Like, I've been pulled away from here. Benny's been pulled away from here. Sometimes out of your control things in your real life. Like Jody, what in Jody's life has taken her away from the internet, even for a small amount of time? Nothing.
She refuses to. You cannot pull her away.
That I can't comprehend.
I mean, yeah. What'd you say?
I can't comprehend that.
No, it's, I had a dentist appointment the other day. I would never let the YouTube make me miss a dentist appointment, even just a dentist, let alone an oncology appointment, right? I mean, I guess it would be different if you hadn't been force feeding in a part of the channel description. Your channel description is that you're a cancer survivor, right? Like, to miss an oncology appointment, each one is detrimental. Like, you got to have them, but to miss one because they're searching in the area, i.e. Fields Road, like, all of that is important. That's important. So I don't know why she, what was she making herself available for?
I don't know.
Right?
To control the way people were seeing things. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would say.
Probably didn't.
Where my son is
I ain't heard your son in the background.
Hey, Mr. Dollar, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, that with the cornbread mafia, cornbread bread.
Oh, man.
Got blackmail and paid done. Can't stop.
But that's just my theory. So I've been thinking hardcore about because it has to involve, in my opinion, those four. And Jody Sue, in my opinion, is in this weird predicament.
I know you don't care because it's too late here now. What's done is done, right? You on a suicide mission. You would die, right? You got no fucking choice.
I guarantee you, when this is solved, and it's going to be solved, this isn't going to be a stranger.
What do you have to say about that, Tiffany? Anything leading up to this?
Nope, I'm good right now.
Okay.
This is going to be somebody you know, somebody you've crossed paths with somewhere, somehow, in my opinion.
Damn, killer. It's so good.
Summer Wells was 5 years old when she vanished from her family's home in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County, Tennessee on June.
Now we're going to get to some important parts. I feel like there's just a momentum, and I know I wanted to stay 90 minutes, but I think that it's been information filled with as little conjecture as possible. And I think if you're cool with it, we'll just go ahead and, a few more minutes.
All right.
Okay. This portion, if you've not watched it, and I'm not going to spoil it, but it's going to get into some very, even some things I didn't know. The way days align and the way things coincide with each other is shocking, right? It's super shocking. And it's all in black and white print. You can see it. It's not conjecture. It's not a theory. It's actually the way it went, right? So here we go.
15th, 2021. Her disappearance sparked a massive law enforcement search and public awareness campaign. But as time went on, the case did not resolve. Instead, the web of narratives, witness statements, and behavioral patterns around the Wells property and its immediate surroundings only grew more complex. Though the Wells family has remained the central focus of scrutiny, activity from others on Ben Hill Road, particularly the Wells' next-door neighbors, deserves closer examination. Approximately 6 weeks after Summer was reported missing, an event occurred that would quietly alter the trajectory of what had previously been perceived as a relatively stable neighboring household. On August 2nd, 2021, just 6 weeks after Summer disappeared, 3 women assisting with mandated cleanup work at the Wells property witnessed something they...
And this is who? Tiffany?
What?
This account is going to come from who?
The account of what? Sorry, I was answering in the chat.
Oh,
sorry.
This is the account of Pam Sanchez.
Oh, Pam Sanchez. Yeah. So when Pam, yep.
And so Pam was a part of very early on. She brought a crew of people and they were helping make renovations on the home, which.
And she spoke on Cam's channel about what she saw. So I
spoke with her actually many times privately, not online. I had an open line of dialogue with Pam, and I can tell you this, that I would do things with Pam, like ask her the same questions but word them differently, and her responses were always the same every time. Like Pam was a solid line of information, right? It just never changed with Pam. It was always the same. What she would have said to Tiffany or Cam or me or anyone else was always going to be the same thing, almost verbatim. So this is Pam Sanchez.
Couldn't ignore. While on-site performing renovations required by the Department of Children's Services, they were alerted by the Wells driveway alarm. One of the women observed a man emerge from the woods, triggering the alarm. She chased him through the trees, shouting at him to stop. As this was unfolding, Candace Wells jumped into her vehicle, and Jody Sue Brown, the Wells' next-door neighbor, arrived in the driveway honking her horn and calling for Candace. Several of the witnesses later described this disruption as a potential distraction.
Okay, August the 2nd, there was 3 women went to the well.
Potential distraction. Now, I don't know if Candace is watching, probably not. Hopefully she's enjoying her fleshy existence, her real life. But if Candace does ever come across this, I'd like to know a detailed account. Even if she would make a video and put it on her YouTube channel, a detailed account of August 2nd. Tell me about this, Candace. Tell me about what you saw, what you did, how you felt. If you could relive it for us, where we could, really just know exactly what happened from your point of view.
I called the girls, okay, but they're grown women. They went to the wells, they cleaned upstairs, cleaned up very good. But anyway, someone was in the woods, they heard the driveway alarm go off. Oh yeah, they put like a
I'm gonna skip past this because this guy here, this is all conjecture and weirdo stuff, and I just not gonna give it any airtime here.
the guy through the woods screaming, that's the area of no cell service. 2 people went down the driveway. One chased the guy through the woods screaming, I'm gonna kill you, USOB. Okay. Candace jumped in her vehicle. About that time, the girl that was in the woods, Jody Sue, pulled up into the driveway, started screaming for Candace and blowing her horn. She saw with her own eyes Jody Sue's son coming out of the woods. Jody Sue, when she said something to them, Jody Sue said, no, he was just checking my mailbox. She said he wasn't checking the mailbox. I chased him through the woods. He come out of the woods. Okay, then Candace said, no, he's just checking her mailbox. He's all right. So nothing was ever said other than between us about.
Do you have a commentary about this up to this point?
I feel like from what Pam says that Candace didn't want to do anything about it.
Okay.
Like, I don't know how to explain. Like, did she feel bad for Jody's son? Like, I don't know.
Or, you know,
Like,
maybe
does she not want to get him in trouble for, I don't know, maybe she was like, just it's the lady over there's son and whatever. And I don't know.
like maybe no harm, no foul, like, you know.
Right. Like not wanting to cause problems with your neighbor, your kid is missing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe something else, but
No,
the impression I got, but I think Pam reported it.
Yeah, I do believe. I remember. I think she did.
A sudden and unexplained shift.
And the thing that I want to touch on is that I want to make a commentary on running through those woods. Like, I could not have run through those woods, and I'm athletic and fit. I could not have run through those woods. It's a scenario when you're, let's say, a country boy, and you grew up in those woods. You know where every tree is at, right? You know where every tree is at. And so it would take someone that was, in my opinion, I don't think an outsider could run through those woods. Let's just, I mean, for a second, entertain the idea that it was not Boog and that it was somebody else. To efficiently run through those woods, like, you would have to know those woods, right? An outsider from, you know, anywhere else, even a different holler, you're not going to, in my opinion, you're not going to be able to efficiently run through those woods unless you're from there, right? That's my opinion. APG, little girl. Who's that? Okay, moving forward.
Occurred within Jody Sue's own household. That very same day, August 2nd, Jody Sue filed for an order of protection against her longtime partner and the father of her children, Andy Bernard.
Okay, this is important.
Then, just 13 days later, on August 15th, it happened again. 1 month since Summer vanished, a woman, her daughter, and her son-in-law delivered firewood to the Wells property. The wood was dropped at the top of the driveway near the old homestead shed. But while unloading, the son-in-law once again saw a man in the woods. He was clearly visible. When later shown a photo of Jody Sue's son, the woman's son-in-law identified him immediately and without hesitation.
Okay, we was up there. Me, my son-in-law, and my daughter. Me and my daughter was in the house with Candace. My son-in-law was unloading the woods, stacking it up. He seen a person in the woods, white t-shirt, blue jeans. I got a picture sent to me tonight of Jody Sue's son.
Here, I'm going to pull that up right now. Can you just say, is you around him?
Okay, when I showed you that picture of Jody Sue's son, what did you say about the person in the woods? Was that him?
That's him? That's who you saw that then was, okay.
Yeah, he was just right down the top of the hill and everything else. I'm actually in place.
Okay.
Okay, he just helped through the woods behind Grandma's camper because you know that hill right
Benny.
there is straight down.
Yeah.
Slow it down and back it up just a little bit because I think that's Pam, whoever's with Pam. I don't know who exactly it is, but that's also someone else speaking to it.
It's somebody. So you had Pam's crew, and then this was the wood hauler, the wood deliverer. It was the wood deliverer, a young girl, and an older woman. The young girl and the older woman, they're in the house with Candace. The wood guy is outside stacking up the wood, and he sees the person, and then later on is shown a picture of Boog and identifies him as the person. I mean, let's just be real. Like, Boog has a look to him, right? You know, I don't know that you'd be able to misidentify Boog with even anyone else in the holler, right? Like, if, you know, that's my opinion, of course. That part is sure. So here we go right here.
Okay, when I showed you that picture of Jody Boo's son, what did you say about the person in the woods? Oh, that's him?
That's him. That's who you saw that day in the woods. Okay.
Yeah, he was just running down the bottom of the hill and everything else. I mean, I can see him plain as day.
I could see him in his day.
Okay. He took off through the woods behind Grandma's camper because, you know, that hill right there is straight down.
Right.
And so he run that way. Sis and them went the front way of the camper and went towards the dog trail. And I jumped in my truck. There was no vehicles around, okay?
Okay.
Now, is this suspicious? Yes. Are we accusing him of anything? No. When I did question Candace the next time about it, she told me, well, he would have come up the driveway. I said, I thought he was a little kid. I didn't know he was a grown-ass man at this time, right?
Right.
I'm thinking it's Jody Sue's son's a kid. And I'm like, 16, 17 years old.
That's the way she paints him.
Yeah.
She always painted him like he's younger than his years or maturity, right? and Mary, it potentially, you make a great point. However, if these things are actual and factual, what they show is a pattern, right? Two different instances are a pattern. So you have to start asking yourself, how many times before or after? I'm assuming probably not after, but before. How many times before he is observed in the woods was he there and not observed in the woods? If this is actual and factual. 2 starts to point, towards a pattern. The other thing that I think maybe some of us could find a very feasible ideology is that if I believe that if Jody wanted to know bad enough what was going on over there and couldn't see or hear, she would send him over to see or hear.
Absolutely.
So he may not even been there under his own volition.
What if he was doing it for her?
Absolutely. Like maybe she's hearing somebody stacking wood. Maybe she can't figure out what the noise is over there. Bug, go over there and find out. And then of course,
so fucked up.
Yeah, he's gonna go run a mission for her, right? So it's very interesting. I just see that it's a pattern to some degree. It's a pattern.
And so I'm like, Candace, I said, would you think that would be Jody Sue's son? I said, since they seen him come out of the woods and that was down there that day, just being nosy, trying to find out who was up here. And she said, no, said he would walk up the driveway. Well, he didn't walk up the driveway.
Once again, Candace didn't report it. It was the witnesses who eventually went and reported the incidents to police. Just days later, on August 19th.
Understanding it had been reported, right? The visitors to the property thought enough of the situation. They're like, yeah, let me report that. I don't know if that's because they knew Candace wasn't going to report it, or maybe they were like, well, if she reports it, we're going to report it too. But it was reported. So to some degree, it's on paper, and it could be FOIA'd potentially, maybe. I don't know. I don't know their FOIA parameters, but it's been reported by her reporting. So now let's get to this. This is, I think a great deal of us probably already knew about the in the woods stuff, and we're getting sort of brought back to present time with it. But this, what we're going to go into here, I had no idea about. Now, a lot of you understand that I was compartmentalized during a lot of this. It's like once I broke away from having everyday contact with the Wells and just sort of being immersed in dealing with their everyday stuff, there was a whole world of YouTube information and things going on I didn't have any idea about. So a lot of people thought that it was advantageous for me because I would hear things. I'm like, no, I didn't know about that. Tell me. Right. So I got to hear and see a lot of things with fresh ears and eyes. All this time later is definitely new information to me. And it's when you start to correlate actions with times and dates, it is just phenomenal. This information right here is just phenomenal to me.
You know, I really appreciate anybody who continues to talk about Summer, like in the absence of others who would normally have been around or haven't been or weren't. Like, to see that people are still putting their time into her is really a good feeling. And I'm glad that Killer is doing what he is, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he really is continuing to
Yeah.
drum up.
That means a lot because, you know, like the next best story comes around, like, I don't know, right after Summer, after like the 3-year mark, it was all Sebastian Rogers, you know? And then people really did drop Summer like a bad habit and then kind of left her in the dust and everything, which is the way of like YouTube or whatever. It's the way it works. But like he's actually doing the work and piecing things together and still going back. Like, I like that, you know?
Yeah, me too. Mama B, I don't know what you mean partying. That was never a party. So you got one more time to say stuff like that. Just one more. You want to get it out the way? Go ahead.
And reported the incidents to police. Just days later, on August 19th, the day of Jodi's protection order hearing, her son filed his own against Andy. 4 days after that, Andy's mother quietly transferred the Fields Road family land just one street over from Ben Hill into a trust.
What does that mean to you? Now, you're very familiar with a lot of you actually worked in real estate, correct?
Yeah, for a little while. I don't work as a real estate agent, but I ran a real estate office. So like, yes, I did a lot for that.
So what would be the significance, first of all, not related to any of these coinciding actions, times, and dates? What's the business of transferring it to a trust? Like what would that actually mean, if you know?
If it's in a trust, then nobody can take it, basically.
Okay.
If you have money hanging out in your bank account, like say you had, I don't know, 500 grand hanging out in your checking account, and that's a different story, you know, but like when you have something in a trust, it also depends if it's irrevocable or what. I guess I'd have to see the whole thing again. It's been so long since I looked at this, but just the fact of the matter that this land was put into a trust while it was pretty much being searched on and off.
Does that change?
That's a whole red flag I cannot ignore it, just for me, you know.
Right. Does that make it change owners or like, so in a trust, like, I know, like in a living trust,
it really does in a
kinda
way.
change
Yeah,
the ownership of it, right?
you don't change the ownership, but well, it is changing ownership.
It's like when the Bernards pass on, the trust could appoint it to the next owner in the family or what have you, right?
It just basically it locks it up. Like it locks it up. It's kind of untouchable in that way. So what was the reason? You know, no one ever expounded on that.
So we don't actually know what would make this advantageous to anyone other than the fact that while it's being the order of protection was filed 1 week before the property was sold.
See, that's no coincidence. Like all of that is no coincidence, not a day ever in life.
It's not a liquid as other assets. Means if you go to jail, they can't take it from you in court.
There's probably notes that go with it too. Like you can't, it's hard to say like what is what really unless you can see all of the paperwork attached. But yeah, I would say whatever that person just said, that it's not as liquid as other assets. Ziggy said
is a trust structure allows for asset protection, control over distribution, and avoidance of probate. Makes sense. Yep. Okay.
It's like it can't be taken from them, basically.
Right. And that it's already appointed a direction and a new owner. And that probate is when people want to argue about what's in the will that's not clear. Like,
yeah,
this trust means When they pass, it goes here, and there's no argument about it whatsoever. Asset protection, estate planning, control and distribution, tax benefits, privacy. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So I still don't know. Maybe are they putting it into a trust because maybe they're worried about, it's like someone said, maybe someone's going to jail and they don't want to lose property. Like, is this the only
But
property?
take note of the name. It's Chimney Top Revocable Trust. And I've always been focused on that in itself because I've done research on Chimney Top Revocable Trust. Ziggy, have you? I bet Ziggy has done a lot of research on all this stuff. It's very bizarre. I'll say that. This doesn't make sense to me, but I don't think it's normal by any means. But who am I? I mean, I'm not in their family. I'm not on their paper. Like, I don't know what is going on with these people, but to see that it happened so soon after Summer went missing while things were going on that property, I just think that simply can't be ignored.
It said a revocable living trust is an arrangement set up through a legal document. The document gives someone the power to make decisions about another person's money or property that's held in the trust. The purpose of a revocable living trust is people use trust to keep control of their money and property and to designate who receives money and property once they die. One reason to set up a revocable living trust is to avoid the probate process after death. Probate is a public process and can be expensive and lengthy. At the same time, the trust allows a person to continue using the assets transferred to the trust, for example, living in a house or spending money from investments. Okay.
Benny pinned Ziggy's comment.
Let's see, where's Ziggy? That's interesting about privacy of properties ownership. Yeah.
No, not that one.
Different one? Okay. Yay, it goes back to Florida. Yeah, it goes back to Florida. From what I remember, but even JS talks about them selling properties out there just in case summer or evidence is planted.
See, this is where Jody jams her.
Okay.
Why is she saying things like that? What?
Huh.
As if the Bernard family would tell her shit in November. Like, let's just see it. Like, really?
Okay. All right. It's starting to take a shape, I think.
Shape.
It's starting to take form.
The scream was a shape, so it's starting to take shape.
Now, could it be, are they worried about evidence being planted? I think that's could be an issue.
No, they're worried about their own evidence being found, in my opinion, and they want to make it seem like someone's planting evidence. Like, it's sickening. And even like Jody has accused me of manufacturing evidence. I've had to call the TBI to tell them that she said these things. It's like, why is this lady blaming someone for manufacturing evidence in a missing child's case? You have to wonder. And then you're like, wow, I should probably report that. Why is that person doing that to begin with? Why are they trying to say that someone manufactured evidence in a missing child's case? Like, that's so sus. And yeah, it's like a nonstop thing with her. With the planting of evidence in her camper and this, that, and the everything. Like, I guess Don and Candace had helped her move. And I'm like, oh my God, their fingerprints are probably all over her shit. She could accuse them of anything she wanted.
That's very true. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm picking it up. North 35th Drive is a residential street located in Cedar London. Do you have a specific address on? Okay. Chat GPT said suspicion of intent. If the timing seems connected, like the trust was created only after searches began, it could raise questions about whether someone was trying to hide, complicate. Okay. I get that too. It could definitely maybe change, the ability to consent to search, or, maybe make the drawing of a search warrant more difficult or complicated. Right. So I'm with you on that. Let's move forward a little bit and kind of get a full encompassing view of the moves of ownership and things like that.
His own against Andy. 4 days after that, Andy's mother quietly transferred the Fields Road family land.
His mother, I didn't hear that before. His mother quietly transferred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who was on. She was on Facebook very early on. In the first hours of Summer going missing, Andy's mom was on Facebook commenting.
I wonder, I'd have to look into this. The information's right here. His name is, his name is first on there, and then her name. So I don't know where the information, I have to point that out. Like, I don't know actually where the information came from that she's the one that did it. But if she was the one that do it, that even seems a little bit creepier, right? Like, he's George has compartmentalized himself away from having any involvement in the movement, the trust, right? Like, he's sort of kind of, I don't want to say forced, because that's probably not the right term, but he's now got his wife out here making moves to protect him, and then the trickle down, which is Andy, right?
Surely the property wouldn't go to Andy or Jody Sue, because it wasn't in either of their names. It was Andy's family's property. So that, to clear that up for you.
Street over from Ben Hill into a trust. This was land that had already been searched, but after the transfer, law enforcement returned again and again and again. It became the focus of multiple searches. Did the legal restructuring of ownership unlock something, or did investigators see as something that made them come back over and over? Even crazier, a silent question began to take shape. A video recorded by Don Wells on July 1st, 2021, just 2 weeks after Summer disappeared, shows a fresh woodpile sitting neatly at the bottom of the Wells driveway. It had not been touched. Weeks later, on August 15th, more wood was delivered, this time to the top of the hill. Why? Who delivered the first pile? Why was it never burned, moved, or mentioned?
So I'm here to tell you right now, like, the wood was never a concern in my mind, because I grew up around uncles and dad and grandpas who cut wood. They would have it stacked all over, right? I mean, all over. It's much easier to procure wood, split it, and stack it in the summertime than in the dead of the winter when you need it, right? So the first load was delivered in a way where, from what I understand, like, the truck wasn't capable of making it up the hill. It's like, a lot of people don't know, but that driveway was a ruddy mess. Rain, different things. Like, it was a real mess. It was treacherous to walk up. I made the ride up the hill several times. The first time was in Grandma Candace's 2-wheel drive pickup, and it was like Dukes of Hazzard going up through there, right? Like, she's like, now hold on. And, like, literally you're coming out of the seat and your head is up by the ceiling going up through there. That is also this blue thing. This is for package delivery. They had a lot of people sending care packages and different things. That's where UPS or FedEx or whomever was delivering would put it there. So it's just a common space that's out of the thoroughfare to get up and down, to the house. Now, the second load was clearly delivered by someone who could make it up the hill, right? Now, as I remember, I think that this pile of wood was crowdsourced, right? Like, some people got it for the wells. So it
That's
was
the wood that David Dotson had asked for.
there you go. So you have someone who maybe there's a complication for them to get it up. I mean, that's a lot of wood to get up a hill that's in terrible shape. Or they just didn't feel comfortable, like, hey, now we're not going up there. Like, we'll just drop it right here out of the way. He can take truckloads up as he needs it, right? The second one was a situation where you heard the guy say that, you know, the younger gal and the older gal were in the house with Candace. So it's as if they had permission to go up there. I probably would do that right there. Now, when I was there, the wood was already there. If you remember, I came down the hill, grabbed a piece of wood from right there.
With a log. Yeah.
I grabbed one of those pieces of wood I grabbed. So the wood was already there. I don't think that it's nefarious. I don't feel like they're covering up anything. And I also don't feel like putting the memorial bench there is anything nefarious either. It's just a place where, I mean, I actually get why they would have put the bench there. People driving by, you want them to see the makeshift memorial, put it right there, right? It's for God and everyone to see right there. So that's my opinion on the wood. And I know, as much as anyone else about the wood, because all of the dynamics of it were, in fact, I didn't even know it was from David Dotson or that he was involved in this load of wood. So the wood never struck me as anything nefarious. Do you have a comment about that, Tiffany?
No. So on August 15th, more wood was delivered, this time to the top of the hill. Why? Who delivered the first pile? Why was it never burned, moved, or mentioned?
Well, I would say that it's now the second load of wood. Quite naturally, you're going to burn what's up there first. If what you have up by the house, now, also understanding they didn't have a huge wood burning stove. They had a little small one. You could only put, maybe a couple of sticks of that wood in there at one time. So it's very plausible that the load of wood that was delivered to the top was enough for the whole season or maybe more. So that's the reality of the wood. The connotation that's being made is that, was the wood put there to cover up something underneath of it? I think that's a wild speculation.
Now the memorial sits where it was. This detail, quiet, easily overlooked, may be among the most revealing. Was the wood simply firewood, or did it serve another purpose? Was it a resource or a barrier? Was it for warmth or concealment? Within a matter of weeks after Summer vanished, 2 trespassing events occurred involving the same individual. That same individual's household fractured under legal pressure. Protection orders were filed around the same times as the sightings of Jodi's son in the woods on the Wells property. Land was transferred. The neighborhood rearranged itself suddenly, and no one has fully explained why. And now, in a move that speaks volumes, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has returned once again to Ben Hill Road. Not just to the home, but specifically to the bottom of the driveway and directly across the road. This isn't just a trail of theory.
Now, one thing that I think is very poignant to mention is that if you are familiar with the logistics of what we heard from Don, and I don't know if David Rader spoke on the situation, maybe you could enlighten me on that, but her scent was allegedly tracked down the edge or down the driveway. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
where the gravel meets the pavement.
which would be right here. Now, the way that I inferred it was that kind of like she may have hugged the right side of the driveway going down. I could be completely wrong, but the information that I received is sort of inferred that, right? That she would have, so here's the driveway. It goes all, it snakes down and then it straightens up. That she hugged the right side of the driveway, and that right where the asphalt meets the dirt, it was as if she was just lifted up. The scent stopped.
Yeah.
Understanding the dynamics of the search dog, had she walked on the pavement at all, the dog is, it's tracking skin cells. So her scent would be on the road for some period of time before wind and cars and everything else were to disperse it. So when Candace comes down the hill talking to Don on speakerphone, and she's already the first one searching before I really feel like she needs to be searching, where did Candace find her?
It was told to me that, well, Benny, I mean, do you remember you were on Prayer Gardens and you were with Candace, and Candace said that she saw Jody at the bottom of the driveway, the bottom of her driveway, between 4 and 4:30. Was it 4 and 4:30?
Yeah.
Okay. And as soon as Candace said that, Jody made up the story about, like in retaliation, Jody came out with the story about Don showering with Summer, this crazy story about Don showering with Summer, right? It was like in retaliation for Candace saying she saw Jody. Like, I watched it happen, boom, boom, boom. And I was thinking, wow, she's trying to shut Candace up. And I took note of it right away. But I find it interesting that Candace found Jody down at the bottom of her driveway at all.
Period.
Because it's alleged that Jody was on Candace and Don's side of the road, not even on her own. And she was in the rocks of their driveway.
Right. And
Like,
so
what was she doing?
The way that it broke down to me was almost, if you can imagine this being where it meets, right in here. This was where she was last, the dogs last smelled her. Candace comes down the hill with Don on the speakerphone, and Jody is right here in the same spot. Now, we do know through the history of all this that Jody has had nonsensical explanations for why she was in the water. She wanted to keep her scent down, but still be able to search. Well, we reached out to several different search and rescue dog kennels. And in fact, in certain situations, the water can amplify.
Well, what I was told also is that from someone that does like different type of search and rescue, right? That like the banks of the creek will hold on to the scent no matter what you were to do. So it doesn't really matter because like all of the earth is going to grab on and latch on, especially if trauma occurred there,
Right.
from what I understand. So I'm actually wondering, like,
yeah, if you can imagine the dynamics, the scent is on the top of the water and it gets pushed up to the bank, you know, like little waves, and then it places it on the bank and then it stays there. It's locked in, right?
Yeah.
Benny, did Summer's scent go down the dog trail and stop at the road? No, they said the driveway.
He said the driveway. They
This
always
is the
said
dog
the
trail over here. The dog trail is by the generator and it kind of curls down and then drops out on the road. That's what Don, and you remember when Don is with the African-American reporter and they're coming down the hill?
Yeah.
That's what they want you to think, but it was officially. Now, did Dave? I think it was from David Rader, right?
No, actually, it was in the very beginning. It was said by law enforcement as well. So
there you go.
Dave Rader was going off of that because the TBI had found that out. They had found all of that out right away. Like that was in the first like 3 days that statement had come. It was very soon, early on in the case.
So with no confusion, verifiably by law enforcement, she went down the driveway.
And that her son stopped at the road.
Right. So I remember it coming from David Rader is who I heard it from.
I think Ronnie Lawson was the one that said it first.
Okay. I clearly have missed that. I heard David Rader speaking on, you know, that situation, which understanding that David Rader wasn't a part of any of that. He's getting information from law enforcement after the fact. So, yeah, Danny, the water was not deep. It was just a whole lot going on with that. But then we also, if you remember,
going on with Jody, it's always a whole lot going on with Jody every single time.
She made a comment, and it was to the effect that everyone around there knows what to do, in situations like this.
Yeah.
As if she's been a part of searching for many missing people, which we know to not be a fact, right? So she's stating this is what we do around here when somebody goes missing. We jump in the creek with no shoes on and we walk around, right? It's not what you in fact do at all, right? If you understand the dynamics of a scent dog. Again, the water will now carry the scent. The scent is locked in. Now,
But she also said too in the beginning of her like 16 videos that she had doused herself in perfume before she left the house too. So
I'm just gonna say
why would anybody in their right mind jump in a creek that they thought a kid was in with doused in perfume? Like it makes you kind of think like she was trying to cover something up, because then even too, like she was talking about how she was like trying to lift up the bottom of the floor of the creek and shit. And like, you know, it's like, why?
I think you're right, because she actually, when they were running through the woods, remember when she spoke earlier before that, she spoke about when the KKK was in town, remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were running through the
No
woods.
perfume when the KKK's around.
Yeah, no perfume when the KKK's
No soap
around.
even. You can't wash
no
with
soap.
soap before you come
No
out with
soap. You
Jody.
can't shave your underarms, your legs, nothing. You got to go in full barbarian.
Night out of town with Jody. No soap, bitch. No soap.
And she was looking for volunteers. I don't know what. I'm
Oh my God. I
Where-
can't. Sorry.
histrionic as hell. I didn't make any of this up. Like, this is actually from her mouth, but then saying it all this time later is like, oh God. Somebody.
No, she'll get mad. She'll get
deep in
mad
my
at
mouth.
working her own words too.
Oh yeah. That's the other thing. Like, if you said it, stand on it with both feet.
Oh,
Don't go live for 11 hours and 50 minutes. And
well, I don't have time to listen to her, so I don't give a shit.
I just won't anymore. Right. I don't have. Yeah. So we are almost through, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to,
It's kind of torture, isn't it, nowadays?
yeah, I won't, I won't do it. It's not that I can't, I just won't. Okay, here we go. Let's share this tab here. So,
to the bottom of the driveway and directly across the road. This isn't just a trail of theories, it's a trail of filings, sightings, court records, and property transactions. It's a sequence of silence followed by movement, of people disappearing, not into myth, but into paperwork. And yet, one object remains still, the untouched wood pile. If that wood could speak, it wouldn't whisper, it would scream.
Tracking. Okay.
Scooby fucking doo. Not for those pesky meddling kids.
Play that again.
Ruh-roh, Raggy. that may be one of the most iconic clips. That should be a meme.
Scooby fucking doo. If not for those pesky meddling kids.
This is our show. So if you want to look at this in its entirety without my opinion, which sometimes isn't worth a grain of salt in a world full of pepper.
A grain of salt in a world full of pepper.
Please go ahead and take a look at that. You know, the one thing that I find so interesting is, let's just keep it real. Like, I have caught up on some of the commentary, and KCK had been so gracious to send me screenshots over the time I was absent from the internet. And pretty much, it's not even a dog whistle. Like, if you say Andy B, he's going to be there, right?
Yep.
Where's he at? He's not here.
He won't come in here. He doesn't want to be asked a hard question.
He will not. And I'm going to expose, and I'm just going to run it down really quickly. So,
I'm here for this.
Me Tiffany, and you actually have the receipts because I sent them to you.
I do, and I posted them, and I was met with other people answering for.
Oh, of course. So Tiffany and I were going to go there, and we were going to go with another group of people, and that was then thwarted. But during the planning phase of all of it, and Andy B, you can't lie about it, buddy. You've already lied about it, and I think you thought I was never coming back. So what happened was there were 2 payments made. What was it in total? Do you remember, Tiffany?
I think it was over $500 at the end of the day. It was like 5 something. You know what? I just charged up my other phone that all that's on. I have to just wait for it to like power back on and I can pull them up. But if you go to my email phone, the one that we FaceTime on.
Yeah.
If you go to our messages there and you go through photos, you'll probably be able to find all of those receipts because I know you sent them to me on that.
So 10 months ago.
It was probably longer than that.
I will definitely get to.
I can find them and you can put them in a video even, Benny.
Okay. So had agreed on a price to pay Andy to go on 125. Okay. Now I gave him an initial payment of, and I don't want to say the amounts because I don't remember exactly. We will find them and I will post them. So what happened was at that time, he had many enablers and I did not want to, my thinking was I did not want to send anything directly to Andy because I didn't want Andy to be able to come back and say, oh, look, Benny did this and Benny did that. So what I did was I sent the money to Adrian at Krama Mama, Sassy Mama. I sent the money to her. Mm-hmm. In the what for, I told him, I said, I'm going to put for tires or tie rods, one of the two. Why would I give a damn? Now, this is like the second time I've cussed since I've been back. Why the heck would I give a doggone about Andy's tie rods or tires? Right? I said I'm going to, and I don't want to have to go through and pull all that stuff up, Adrian and Jenny, but I certainly will. You people know exactly what I said. And I can tell you what, the first initial payment, and this goes deeper, Adrian and Jenny, the first initial payment, he took the money and he went back down to Beach Creek and he bought a wad of marijuana with it, right? While he was there, there was some discussion the night before about the tile in the road because there was some talk about Jody checking the tile, right? So it was like, is the tile large enough to put a kid in or not? Andy thought he'd be nice when he was spending the money I gave him to go on his property down in Beach Creek buying marijuana with it instead of paying bills or child support. He took pictures of the tile from both sides, from his family side and from the Wells side. That's a pretty intricate story for me to just have, right? And then I made another payment to him maybe that day or the next day. And so I think in total, it was about $500 for.
And you had said you were going to give him more when we got on the property. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, that was payment to make sure I could go on the property and fly the drone.
Yeah. All Benny wanted to do was fly his drone. He didn't want to interrupt nothing. He just wanted to fly his drone.
Yeah. I didn't even care to go up on the property necessarily. It was just to allow me to fly my drone over top of it at different altitudes, just to kind of get a mapping of the whole area and then go back later and slow it down and just look at every inch of it.
And you know what Andy said? That he was going to tree us in.
Yep. That's when him and Scott said, well, something about once we got in there,
we wouldn't be coming back out.
Yeah. Cause they would drop trees. Okay. Scott and Andy.
Scott and Andy going to drop trees on us because we can't get around the trees or nothing.
And I remember saying vividly, the first person I ran into after somebody dropped a tree is going to get the business. You're going to get the tall business, right? Like, I don't care if you know politics. Like, I'm going to give you the business quick. If I see you got a chainsaw.
With that. There's a problem with the fact that Andy resorted to violence because Benny and I were going to come there.
After he had already taken my money. So
Violent.
I don't know. I think that those gals got caught up in enabling him. And then I think that, you know, if I'm out of sight, out of mind, you can lie and put anything on Benny if he's not here to say, well, this is actually what happened. Let me show you, kind of deal. Right. So we will find these.
Those should still be on my community tab somewhere anyhow.
Yeah. We will find them. I will find them, and we will give them light again, and we will let, you know, that's just one thing I wanted to clear up, because it was just like, you got three that financially, if I was able for those people, I did it, right? I did it. Jenny, Adrian, gave her a MacBook computer, bought a microphone, did some other stuff for other people. Now you got Andy in the mix. He's a broke dog, dirty, you know, so he needed money. I wanted to be able to fly the drone on the property, and it was a no-brainer, right? It was like, let me offer him enough money that he can't say no. The only mistake I made was offering him the money before I was there, right? It was like a drug deal gone bad. That's how he treated it, right?
Yeah.
Right? I gave him the money before I got the product, and then he burnt me up, right? So, like, you know, I'll say it now, like, bro, you know, like, doesn't matter what I gave you the money for if you're going to lie about it, but why don't you give me my money back? How about that?
And then, like, I don't know, everybody went up there, did their thing, and they're like, well, we didn't have to pay for it. Well, why would you have to pay for it? Benny already did.
That's it. Yeah. So, you know, and I'm sure there's a couple of other people that are real crazy Andy B enablers now that come on the scene and live in the area, and they're going to have that's great. I'm glad you didn't have to pay, right? But you weren't going to do nothing like what I was going to do. So that's really all I have to say about that. And do you have any comments in closing?
No, I think that killers should keep putting stuff out, like whatever path he's on. I saw some stuff that he had done before he did this video with the connections with certain family names and stuff. Like, he really is putting in work. So I have been listening to his videos and stuff. Like, I turned one on in the car on the highway the other day. I was listening to it. So I was like, oh, let me put this on real quick, because I didn't want to miss it. But I kind of look forward to them, because I do like when I see that people are putting work in on digging through things and piecing things together like a puzzle. I'm so, like, fascinated by that anyway. But if it has to do with Summer, I'm all about it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's only allowing me to go back a year here. And so,
Where?
yeah, we will on your community wall.
All right.
So
I'll go through my phone, because I know you sent me everything. So I'll go find it. I don't even remember when that was now.
Me either. It was some time ago. So we'll get them and we'll put them out. And it's just a little, you know, I guess the aim of me putting them out is for this and this solely, is that why would he have to lie? The truth is good enough, right? All you would have to say, I mean, if you're trying to get one over on me, all you have to say is, yeah, I took his money and then he didn't come. So shame on him, right? Shame on Benny, right? Like, to lie about it when you know at some point I can prove exactly why I gave you the money to go there and take a look around. Like, to lie about it says a whole lot about what you got going on over there. And that's really all I'm going to say in closing. So if you have no other commentary,
Nope.
I want to go ahead and I want to thank Karen Renfro for becoming a new member. Kaz, thank you for becoming a new member. Boosta for her contribution. Angel on Earth, thank you for your contribution. Boosta, another contribution. And then Casey K, our beloved day one moderator. Thank you, ladies, for all of your support It means the world to us. It keeps the thing moving around. So I want to thank Tiffany for coming over and sacrificing her time. It's we're not done. Thank you for to Killer Looks, number one, foremost and in the front. Like, thank you, Killer. Keep on doing what you do. And I think together, I'm not disillusioned. Okay, I've said it before. I'm not disillusioned to think that I'm doing anything masterful other than keeping the little girl's face, relevant. Speaking of that,
Pull it up.
yeah, we're gonna do what we do. we will be. That's one thing that we can do, right? All of us can do this. It is not a problem.
I think that her new age progression photo is so different from the last. It's interesting to see.
I agree. Not that
I
I
wonder
agree.
which one Don and Candace relate to more. That is something
Yeah.
I don't know if either of them have spoken about it. I would love to know Candace's thoughts on how she feels about the new age progression photo of Summer, if she feels like the first one was closer or this one. Those are things that interest me.
Yeah, me too. Thoroughly
I want
too.
to know
Because
who I'm looking for, what I'm looking for. I don't want to be thrown off by photos that are thrown in front of my face of what could be,
100%.
Not to
I'm
say
all
that they aren't accurate, because they have accuracy percentage of 86% or something crazy like that. So,
whole science goes into making those
yeah,
images. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. Yep. So you want to go ahead and do it before we close out?
sure. You want to do it or you want me to?
Go ahead.
All right. Summer Moon Utah Wells disappeared from the 100 block of Ben Hill Road in Hawkins County, Tennessee on June 15, 2021. She was last seen wearing a pink t-shirt and gray pants. She was possibly barefoot. If you have any information that is credible that could lead to the recovery or the discovery of Summer, please call 1-800-TBI-FIND to report any valuable tips you may have.
Yep. No tip is a bad one at this point. If you got
Yeah,
something.
you know what? A lot of people will call. I used to get a little crazy over people calling in silly tips. And I'm not saying to call in silly tips at all, that please don't get me wrong. But if you do feel that something is people give me a hard time, because I've posted a call or two, you're wasting TBI's time. As long as tips are coming through for Summer, it keeps her case alive. And so long as tips are coming in, it makes it a lot harder for cases to go cold as well. So that's my answer to that. They say her case isn't cold, but
no, my age old, I've said this about every single thing I've ever been involved with. I don't take tips. I don't funnel tips.
No.
If you got a tip, I don't want to know about it. I'm not a local YouTuber who runs around with a tarot card flipping wife. I don't believe in any of that. Don't send your tips to any YouTubers. Don't come here and talk about tips on YouTube. If you have a tip, take your tip to 1-800-TBI-FIND or tips2TBI@tn.gov. Don't come here this if you're one of them, if you have the heart and you have information and you come across any of this stuff, don't go to no YouTubers with no tips. Right.
And if you're out there actively searching for Summer, don't come to YouTube with your videos to show where you've already searched about it.
Yeah. Don't give them this is chess, right? You don't want to announce where you're going. I don't personally feel like putting searches online are that's not good. It's not good management of information, right? If they know you're going somewhere, someone can move something. If they know you've been there, they can go and put it back because they know you're not coming back, right? So don't do searches online. Don't mess with tarot card communities. Don't mess with psychics. You've never met one psychic yet that's been right about anything having to do with a missing kid. I don't care if someone says, Reverend Serafina, Donald, no. It's a hustle in there somewhere. It's a hustle somewhere. I don't care what nobody says. No psychic or none of that stuff. I don't care about none of it. right? It's not of Jesus. It's not of God. And it's nothing. Like, do not. So that's all I have to say before I mess around and get fired up on here.
Okay, good night, everybody. Thank you for being with us.
Yes, thank you for joining us, everybody. Remember one thing, that the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Take your tips to TBI Fine. Take it to tips to TBI at tn.gov. Don't bring them to the YouTube. Don't talk about bringing them to the YouTube. Don't discuss them on YouTube after you've brought them to TBI. Do it the right way. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night.